feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a
Divinity. league, and of course, this is a 7-week league with playoffs later on. And I think we've been doing a really good job of featuring all the different teams that we haven't seen so far, because I believe this is the first appearance for both of these teams coming into this broadcast. And TPO 1-2 so far in the standings, and then Monkeys Master Chief 2-1. So I think could be a pretty close match between the two, and see if we extend the placements for Monkeys Master Chef, or I don't know if I said Master Chief or not, Master Chef, or they even out to 2-2 apiece. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I think it's going to be, I always say it's going to be close, and I stand by that. Right now, we see Monster, where did that come from? Monkeys Master Chief, currently in fourth place, but as far as rating goes, they are tied for second and third, with all three teams in this bracket being 2-1. And then we look at TPO, who's technically in sixth place, but that covers the same score for fifth through seventh. And so the majority of the teams in this division are neck and neck, meaning it can go either way, and all teams are looking for that upset.
Definitely. I mean, and looking at a quick recap of last week too, and their respective placements, we did have Monkey Master Chef go 2-0 against Obsidian Vice last week. Really strong performance from the entire team throughout. JJ, the top player in Malphite, 8-0 and 7 in the first game, and then was 4-6-16 on a Scion, but it's a Scion, so you're expected to die there quite a few times. JJ, I believe, will be subbed out for this week and will be replaced by Feathers. So let's see if Feathers can fill in those shoes. And then, unfortunately for TPO, they did lose last week, I believe 0-2. So definitely looking to turn things around a bit this week. But they face off against CEF, and yeah, just a tough matchups all the way throughout. But like you said, these standings are pretty close overall. Games 1 does factor into the standings, and of course we got Foolery. Shout out to them at that number 1 spot, 3-0 in series, and then 6-0 in games. So haven't even lost a single game. We did see him on a previous broadcast, either last week or 2 weeks ago. I can't really remember, but yeah. But today's all going to be about TPO and Monkeys Master Chef. A lot of monkeys in this league, I gotta say.
There are a lot of them, and some more monkey mayhem. I will say TPO is probably my favorite team. They're very similar to another favorite team of mine called PTO. PTO Reformed is something that was an initiative team by my boss, and we're all trying to get some time off. And so, TPO, you got my vote for the day. I'm hoping for a clean 2-0. I will be rooting for you.
Yeah, and that would definitely make things pretty interesting and even up the series a bit, both on a points perspective and maybe even games perspective as well. So, going to see how that goes. But I believe Mel is completely unbanned at this point. I think it was last week too, but it just
She was.
also got banned in the draft phase. There are some heavy nerfs coming to Mel soon, but maybe not soon enough, because those nerfs won't be live for this specific the games that were being played tonight. So could be interesting if she sneaks through some of the ban phases, but we'll have to wait and see.
She just might. I mean, they let Victor through last week.
True.
I made a whole stink about it.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at the draft real quick as we are heading down over there. I believe TPO will be starting on the red side. Monkeys Master Chef will be starting on the blue side, which means that they will be banning out Velvet's ban. Actually, interesting. Might be a more targeted ban at one of the players from TPO. My guess would be Ziggy. But let's so it might be a small technical difficulty. It might not actually be a Velvet, but we'll keep you all updated on that as we go along. Velvet's ban would be definitely high respect too, because not really a meta jungler at the moment, but sometimes in the hands of the right player.
She has her moments. I think it was last patch she was doing pretty well. It's not a pick you commonly see though in organized play, as she is quite weak and vulnerable early in the game. It requires a lot of coordination to make her successful, or at least very exceptional decision making when it comes to ascertaining whether or not a gank will be successful. A few of my students, though, have been big fans of the Belveth, and so I think there are ways that it can reasonably work.
Definitely, definitely. And this is also for those that are maybe tuning in for the first time for Divinity League. It is fearless draft, so any champion that is chosen at any point in time for any of the games on either side is no longer eligible for the remaining games. Obviously, this might not be as you know, obvious, I guess, or clear to see the diverse team compositions until maybe a game 3. So if it does go to a game 3, that's when the pickings are a little bit slimmer. And of course, best of 5s would also make things pretty interesting. But we are doing best of 3s in the regular season for Divinity League, so maybe we'll see a game 3. I think all the games broadcasted so far have all been 2-0. So
they have all been 2-0s, and I'm partly hoping that tradition's not broken today. But if there is a day where that tradition's broken, it's going to be a day like today where teams are neck and neck when it comes to the ratings.
All right, and we get a Vi first ban. This is, I believe, the correct ban, and definitely a very strong ban as well, by just having that single targeting lockdown potential to really just take out ADCs or some of the carries and just isolate them and just swing the whole team fight. We get a brand counter ban too, interesting, and then a Jinx ban as well. The Jinx resets can be quite strong. I know it's Golden said, Caleb, show us the cats. I actually have 2 cats. But in true cat fashion, they will never listen to what I say or do. So if we're lucky, maybe they'll come up on.
Oh, there's a cat in the back right now. I see one.
Yeah. There's one. Yeah, actually, she heard me. But
we got a Caitlyn ban followed by Twitch. ADCs are out today. I was surprised. I'm not surprised by the Jinx because Jinx is really strong. I kind of expect to see Jinx, MF, and Quirky as early bans. Varus and Ashe fall in that category too. But Twitch and Caitlyn are a big surprise for me. Alawi ban 3 as well. That has to be a targeted ban. There's no way that's not. And there's the Ashe pick on pick 1.
Yeah, we get the Ashe pick. Miss Fortune's still on the table as well. Might be getting scooped up here, especially with so many ADCs already banned out and already knowing what the enemy ADC is running. But definitely a very, very strong pick here. We get the Jarvan 4 pickup. Always a really flexible jungler, I gotta say. Might be going for more engaged comp on the side of TPO. If that's the case, it might even pick up a Kai'Sa here.
Oh, I know. Okay. I was thinking maybe Galio Orianna. One of the things that Red Side does, they don't always have to counterpick that first B1 pick. They do have the ability to take 2 priority picks on R1 and R2 and go for a strong combination. So what some of the pros have been doing is to take like Jarvan and Oriole, to take like Jarvan and Galio, or they'll take Nocturne mixed with one of those 2 champions because it's such a strong combo. But they did match with the Kai'Sa. They're going to be probably doing an engage comp just as you've seen, and Monkey Master Chief, we're probably looking for more of an AoE team fight or front to back composition. We see the Victor and the Zac, a strong engage, a lot of control, and a lot of damage.
Mel is available as well, so let's keep that in mind because that could be interesting. No, goes for the Orianna pick, just like you said, actually. Definitely going to be really strong for those team fight potentials as well. It's a little bit of range as well that can match the Victor a bit, because one of the most annoying things about laning against Victor is just getting out range, and there's only a few champs that could stay even in that range. We get the Poppy ban here. Going to be interesting. Not a ton of mobility on the side of Monkey Master Chef so far, but maybe they're arguing maybe some more mobility in their support and their top laners.
They don't necessarily need mobility with the comp they have right now.
Yeah,
Jarvan will kite them or will dive them, but they can kite backwards, and Zac has the option to peel that away. Only one who can dive right now is the Jarvan. They could follow up with the Kai'Sa. Orianna, I don't think is going to be a significant threat outside of her Wombo combo. And a Rel pick.
This is kind of nasty too. The Orianna ults, the Rel Magnetstorm ult as well could be pretty nasty. I mean, it just in those
imagine if that was a misfortune.
Right? You're just constantly getting sucked in here. Oh, we get the Ornn pickup as well too. Definitely a really strong top laner. Plays for the team as well, especially with those upgrades over time. Frontline for the ADC. Oh, okay, and we get a Seraphine pickup as support. I like this too. You got 2 really strong tanky frontline. But if you get something sneaky into the backlines here, it could be pretty annoying for Monkey Master Chef. And then we get the Dr. Mundo pickup too. on the side of TPO. Definitely could be a lot of disruption and, hard to CC, especially with that passive. So I like the comps from both sides. Which comp are you favoring a little bit more yourself, Professor Malice?
I would say it was Monkey Master Chief up until that Mundo lock. And the reason for this, Seraphine pairs very well with Ashe. There's a lot of synergy there. And you're able to utilize the midline Victor and the front line Zac to get a large AoE ult with Seraphine. But they just don't have the percent damage to get through Mundo. If Mundo gets ahead, if the game goes long, he's just going to absorb all the damage. Now, that said, it'll be a little bit difficult for TPO to get into the back line of Monkey Master Chiefs. It's, they have a front-to-back comp with the exception of Jarvan. Jarvan's the only one that's going to be able to bypass the opposing team's front line. And, they have Orin to help deal with anybody that tries to do that. They just play it backwards.
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh, tough call, but I think the Mundo is probably going to be one of the picks to watch out for. And then it's just going to come down, can the carries on Monkey Master Chief get the gold and get the advantage they need to close out before they become too tanky?
Yeah, it's really going to depend a lot on that Ashe and that Victor late game, right? Probably pulling up a Leandries on the Victor to help really just burn down some of that health on the Dr. Mundo too. I mean, I assume probably will be going Heartsteel as well, so going to really stack up against that Ornn, and Ornn can't really avoid getting stacked on. Might get Heartsteel themselves actually to Feathers might get one himself to kind of match that. I do like the pick of Seraphine as well because you don't really want too much engage on your side after seeing the Orianna, the Rel. It's just like you're just asking to be ulted in, into a tornado and just kind of lose the fight. So I do like how they kind of have two tanky front line and then probably going to spread out that back line a bit. I believe Seraphine will probably go all support items, but if not, Leandries on the Seraphine might not be terrible either to kind of help burn down the health of that Dr. Mundo. All right. Looks like our game is starting to get set up, so definitely excited to see how this one goes. We do have on both sides Katori on the top lane for TPO, Ziggy jungle, Efron mid lane, Reckoning bot lane, and then we got Lightly Moist Sock. I love that username as the support player.
I don't. That one makes me really uncomfortable.
I mean, personally, I'm not trying to wear it.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Seconds until minions spawn. Minions have spawned.
All right, chat. Can you hear us now? We're back. Sorry for the small technical difficulties, but we're back into this game and no action missed so far. Looks like both teams are just posturing back over to farming at this point in time.
Might have been a small trade in an upper right hand, upper red side quadrant with a small exchange of blows. As we see now in the mid lane, Oriana and Victor trading blows, kind of like a well, I guess a handshake. Bit uncomfortable letting everybody just go their own way. Top lane up here, we got Mundo and Orin. Orin. Oh, why does that sound so weird to me? Also farming, but it looks like Mundo is able to take the tempo.
All right. And we got this bot lane just skirmishing a little bit back and forth too. Definitely going to be more favorable for Monkey's Master Chef. I always forget that S there, just because that double range too. You can see the aggressive positioning from Pink. I want to say Penguin, but it's Penguin. Yeah, Pone. But great username too as well. I don't know about better than Lightning Moist Sock though, but both have their own attributes in some way, shape, or form.
I am not going to have fun casting that name today. Let's take a look at the bot lane. Looks like there might be an exchange going on down there. And we do see Jarvan coming in, invading, scouting out the Zac. And is able to smite it out from under him.
A little steal there too. Zac's not easy to kill here either, but you can see Nightmare and Batman trying to chase Ziggy out of the jungle. J4 should be able to get out pretty easily here, but Nightmare is there to meet J4, but might be a little too overextended by himself. No, Nightmare is going to be able to pull back a bit, go back for a little poke damage on Efron as well. You can see Moist and Pink rotating a little bit towards there to help out, but
that's how we're just calling it. We're just calling him Moist.
Yeah. We'll call it your favorite word out of the three, right?
No. But I do want to see him get a critical hit. If he was able to land a crit, then he could be Moist critical. Well, we might want to be careful of branding for that one.
Yeah, I mean, getting the crit on Rel probably won't be the most obvious damage on the health bars, but that would definitely be a sight to see here. CS-wise, everything looking pretty solid overall. I think Ornn definitely has a slight advantage over Dr. Mundo in the top lane early on, just because that passive and the Living Forge able to just get all these items, whereas Dr. Mundo has to kind of go back. But Dr. Mundo scales pretty scarily late game, especially as a top laner. So gonna have to see how that plays out. Again, Feathers is being subbed in, I believe, for JJ, but I think putting in good work so far.
Ziggy is having a really interesting clear path here. He's able to disrupt the Zac, putting Zac on dead time and not clearing out his own camps. But he then takes and denies one of the scuttles, has a great gank going in the mid lane, unable to take the kill. But it could go top to deny the second scuttle, or he can fall back to his camps, which would be his Gromp. And it's looking as though he might be going for that Gromp and asking if maybe he can gank bot side.
Yeah, we see a flash burn from both Nightmare and Ziggy as well. Ziggy, I think, had Smite up, so could have potentially smited the Victor at the very end there, but was taking some tower damage here. We see a skirmish going on this bottom side. Reckoning has no mana though. We get Lightly Moist Sock trying to peel for his ADC, but Reckoning definitely has to back off after this. No mana left at this point in time to continue farm, but might stay actually with Ziggy helping out there too. Pretty, slow-paced game so far. No kills yet, but seems like we're just setting up ourselves for a voracious Otacon, which always makes things quite exciting. Oh, and here comes a fight. Reckoning actually burns the cleanse as well to get out of safety. Reckoning getting really greedy here. No mana and almost no health either, but doesn't want to lose the entire wave here. So trying to do what he can to soak up some of this experience and get some final gold. But the pressure is continuing to come through from Chef and Pink as well. Meanwhile, we got a top lane skirmish, but both bulky top laners are going to be sustained. Just go back to CSing.
It's interesting to see as we look back to the bot lane. Reckoning has not decided to go for a recall yet. They're only going to continue to get pushed off and bullied when they're at such a resource disadvantage in terms of HP and health. Now, Ashe and Seraphine could take a recall with the temple here, but they have so much resources, so much HP and mana still available, it's not advisable for them to do that. They want to strangle off the gold that Reckoning and his team can get in that lane.
Definitely. And you can see that finally Reckoning does recall, get the health needed, and it looks like Chef and Pink are able to crash at least one wave into that turret, which is going to be quite nice. And then they're also rotating over to secure the first Drake of the game. First objective is going to go over to the side of Monkey's Master Chef. And for those that haven't played any of this current season of League of Legends, of course, claiming these objectives have extra bonuses these days with the feats of strength. First to 3 monster slaying will get one of those feats of strength, and then warfare first to 3 champion kills, and of course first turret. So we have one heading over on the monster slaying side for Monkey's Master Chef.
Nightmare now walking into the blue side jungle, top side, trying to poke off Ziggy from their blue buff, but Ziggy is still looking around, does smite it, and is able to successfully steal the blue buff. He was in and out, is now rotating over to the scuttle. An important thing of significance that's happened during this time frame is while Monkey Master Chief was taking the dragon, TPO and Ziggy were able to secure the grubs, allowing their team to get an advantage when pushing towers.
Definitely. We got objectives on both ends here so far. No first blood yet. The goal differential is also pretty close so far. You can see Ziggy posturing for a gank on Nightmare. No vision that bush at all, and Ziggy is level 6, so that Cataclysm can definitely isolate Nightmare. Nightmare's flash is not up yet. Flash timer is pretty similar to Ziggy, so Ziggy has a pretty strong idea of when that flash is going to come back up for Victor, given their last gank attempt. But yeah, we're just going to go back to farming here. It's going to be maybe a slower kill game, but that's okay.
I wonder what the record is. This could be the record for the series of the longest game on without a single kill. I think we had one long game as well in week 2, the first broadcast for me. Anyways, where we had a team that went almost 10 minutes without a kill on either team. We do see right now Jarvan having now stolen 2 camps from Monkey Madness or Monkey Master Chief. Wow, there's too many monkeys. It's giving me the madness. He is up by about 2.5 camps. And he's still clearing out his camps, looking for an opportunity to gank. He's had more gank opportunities than Zach has. And while it hasn't directly led to a lead for any of his lanes, he certainly has the tempo.
Definitely. And looking again to being very active here on the ganks. Do see a ward in that middle bush. So Pink, Pongwin, and Chef do know exactly what is happening here. Ziggy trying to spot out any of remaining wards in that bottom bush, but unfortunately has already been seen at this point in time. Batman lurking a little bit, but also recognizing that Ziggy's probably not going to go for this dive here at this point. But maybe Batman going for his own gank.
Looks like he's going to hover up against a wall. Far side, far, Jank, maybe not. They're too far back. They have to know. They have to have seen him.
Yeah.
I just saw him. Okay, they just saw him off of the minion wave just there. If they didn't know before, they know now.
Yeah, they definitely know now. Both teams playing fairly cautiously at this point in time too. It looks like Ornn probably going for that heart seal just to match the Dr. Mundo, and then Dr. Mundo likely going heart seal himself, but might go for Warmogs early to kick things off. Batman again looking to potentially gank, but not quite. We do have the Orianna rotating towards his bottom side as well. Maybe just helping Jarvan, secure the scuttle. But we get the first blood going over to Chef, and it's going to be a double kill, taking out the lightly moist sock and Reckoning. A lane that they've had a lot of pressure on the whole time too. Of course, this double range comp is going to definitely poke out quite a bit. But I believe Seraphine probably landed an ultimate as well there too to really start things off there.
I think that is a good inference to make, as we do see Seraphine's ult is down, as is with Ashe.
Definitely. We're not going to have replays for today, so we'll do our best to infer what has happened, but I think I was looking at the cooldowns there too to make my extra prediction. I had a little cheat sheet there, of course, but we do get the first 2 kills over to the side of Monkey's Master Chef. Oh, and almost stopping the recall of the Orianna, but 1 kill left for Monkey Master Chef. Oh, and Nightmare does get caught a little bit here from Lightly Moist Sock, but there's no damage to follow up. Efron does come back in with the Orianna, going to try to assist here a bit. but not able to do it quite yet. And we see Batman diving very boldly into this. We see the Cataclysm come out. Nightmare is trying to get away from it. A call of the Forge God comes through, and we have Ornn picking up that third kill for the team to collect that feats of strength. The skirmishing does not stop though. Victor does go down, and then we see Ziggy being very active here, trying to get some value, but no, dies to Feathers. The Ornn picking up a double kill so far, and just these two tanks are sustaining so much. Pink Penguin does go down, and now it's just Ornn left to his lonesome between pretty much two tanks. This fight might last a while, to be honest. Victor's already back up here. I don't know if he could get here in time or not. Does flash out to safety. So a lot of value for Feathers for sure, and Monkey's Masterchef does pick up another piece of strength. So overall, pretty good trade for them. Gold differential's not that big of a difference though, because the fight was still pretty close, and a lot of members on Monkeys also went down in that fight.
It was, yeah, interesting fight. I don't really know who it was more worth for, because TPO was able to win the fight with a 3-2 kill advantage. However, because of the time when those kills hit, Monkey Masterchef, it is a chef. He's got knives and a chef hat. Masterchef was able to get the feat of warfare, the feat for getting first 3 kills. So there is an argument to be made that if that allows him to get the feats of strength and get those boots, that taking a 300 gold deficit to secure that was absolutely worth it.
Ooh, and we get the flash forward from the Rel too to engage, and Pink goes down right away on that Seraphine. Oriana picks up the kill. Reckoning doing a lot of damage as well. Nightmare is in trouble. We see the kill instant come out, and the re-engage actually from Ziggy trying to do something here. Reckoning doing everything he can, and actually does take out Nightmare before getting ignited, and does get to say, actually it wasn't even ignite, actually it was just a lethal temple there. But we do get a nice kill for Reckoning, who was, I believe, a little bit behind compared to Chef in the gold count. And this is going to be objective going over to TPO. So TPO, a really good fight for them. They do take this Drake away so that they slow down the progress towards that soul. But yeah, really good fight and a really good engage, I gotta say, from Lightly Moist Sock. I know you're not a big fan of the name, but that engage is pretty nasty there. 2 kills actually to the Rel. I just noticed that as well.
They did win the fight. You know, Chef J looked like he might have been a little hesitant there with his positioning. He had a great damage on 2 or 3 of them who were about to drop. He would probably die if he continued fighting, but it might have been enough to prevent the Drake. However, deciding to make the call to back up did give the Drake off over to Team TPO, but not missing this opportunity on the recall timers, or I guess the reset timers, Monkey Master Chief is able to go ahead and take the 3 Void Grublings. This will put both teams at 2 monsters eliminated towards the feats of strength. The next one to get the next objective will be able to secure that feat.
Yeah, Monkey Master Chef is, if they secure this next objective, they will get that feats of strength, whereas TPO still needs to get a first turret to have a chance, even if they get that 3 monster slaying progress towards that feats of strength. But overall, I'm really liking the gameplay from TPO. Now about 1k gold up. But just overall, I really like how they're executing on these team fights. And honestly, great. Both top laners playing really well, too. Rotating at the right time at that first set of grubs. Both 2-0 so far. Both looking kind of unkillable at this point. So we're going to see. I mean, we talked about how Dr. Mundo is going to be a problem, but Ornn can definitely be a problem as well if you don't have the damage to match.
Oh, Ornn is a phenomenal late game champion. Not only does he just have a lot of AoE benefits for his team, but by the time he hits level 16, he's contributed about 5,000 gold worth of stats to his team. That's enough to shore up a small deficit. And so right now, if you are, Monkey Master Chief, you're not too worried about the gold differential, which, by the way, we are 15 minutes into the game, and the score is 4-6 with about 1,000 gold in favor of TPO.
Yeah, this I feel like this game's already probably going to be a banger here that might last quite a while, because it's pretty even between both teams. And like I said, these top laners are going to be kind of late game juggernauts. As you can see, that neither could really kill each other, and they're just constantly stacking Heartsteel back and forth. Ziggy is looking for a potential gank again. Very active on this J4 so far. 100% kill participation, actually. All 6 assists were collected from Ziggy, as Ziggy is going for a scuttle. This is going to be that third objective for both teams here, unless neither opt for the Rift Hero, which I would assume that would not be the case. So this is probably going to be very contested on both sides. You can see the position from TPO already pretty strong here as they're whittling this down. No vision actually for Monkey Master Chef, and now they are going to walk up there, but Nightmare is probably not the one you want walking up there either, and you get stunned up as well. The Killer Instinct comes out yet again, and Reckoning takes down another Victor kill for himself, but they're quite low, and we get a kill from Pink Penguin on top of Reckoning. Batman takes down Ziggy as well, so no jungler in sight. Double kill for the Zac, and we got Ornn, but Ornn is not that. Oh, actually, no, that's Dr. Mundo, and Dr. Mundo is just not tanking enough at that point in time. That's 4 kills going over to the side of Monkey's Master Chef, and they are also going to pick up the feats of strength in the progress, as well as the Rift Herald. Orianna, I think, was she not at the fight, or maybe she just TP'd down? No, I think Efron was just at bot lane the entire time, just splitting.
I would, I guess, assume that to be the case, but Pink Penguin, putting the Pone in their name, beautiful ult, is able to go through several targets and set up that team fight for them, swinging the game back in their favor. And just like that, they're the team that's up by 1,000 gold. And by taking the Herald, they've also secured the feats of strength, which is a surprise to me because I thought that the team with the lightly moist sock would be the team that gets the feat. It only makes sense to me. But here we are. Monkey Master Chef showed that they have been cooking up a strategy that has seemed to work out.
I mean, that's the thing, right? If you don't have good, if you don't got good shoes, you're probably just wearing your socks all around. So that's maybe how they get so moist. But speaking about lightly moist sock, I will say a great engage on the Victor, but I believe burned the Magnus Storm actually in that beginning fight just to secure the kill on Victor. And because of that, they didn't have the ultimates for the remainder of that team fight. Of course, Efron being in the bot lane probably didn't help as well because they were outnumbered on top of that. But just burning some of those resources for the Victor, unfortunately, probably put him a little bit more behind than they anticipated. Here we got the Rift Herald already charging towards that first turret. They already have the feats of strength, or second turret, I should say. They already have the feats of strength locked down, so they don't need this. And it looks like Dr. Muda was actually able to grab that himself too. So Batman does go down, maybe not quite. Passive is up, but I don't think anyone from Monkey Master Chefs is willing to contest that to try to save their jungler. Meanwhile, Nightmare might be caught in a difficult position yet again. We got 2 kills already from Reckoning on Nightmare alone, but I think Nightmare just going to be able to back off to safety, and because Batman's down, it should be a free Drake for TPO.
Drake number 3, the second Drake going over to TPO if they're able to successfully take it. It does not look like the Monkey's Master Chefs will be looking to contest, although Victor might try to steal with a Death Ray, which would just be diabolical if he's able to do so.
Yeah, unfortunately, spent the Hextech Ray on the Rel instead just for some poke damage. Maybe not confident in the securing power there, which I think is accurate. Oh, we get the engage from Ziggy, but the flash out from Pink Penguin, and we get the Killer Instinct again from Reckoning. Super aggressive on this engage. Does chunk Pink Penguin down to a little bit less than half health. I don't know if it was worth the ultimate there either, but we'll see. Oh, the Cataclysm comes through, like I said, and does secure the kill on to Pink Penguin, but Chef J is chewing through the health bars here, takes down Ziggy, and now taking down Reckoning as well. Chef J looking really strong so far. We got the Ornn ultimate not landing quite yet, and Katoria on this Dr. Mundo is just going to heal back up pretty quickly, get back to safety. Definitely looking curious to see the goal differential between the ADCs when we have a chance to take a look at that and some of the stat lines and maybe some of the items as well. But I think Chef J, yeah, quite far ahead at this point too. 4-0, has a gold advantage as well, holding out to 3.5k gold. That's gonna be an item and a half for him for sure.
It's now 20 minutes into the game. The score is 11-10 in favor of Monkey Master Chef, but only by 900 gold, which is equivalent, I guess, of 3 kills. So Monkey Master Chief, Lord, is up by, I guess, a notable amount for his position. They're up by 600 gold from other sources, such as knocking down towers, taking plates, or securing CS.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, even though Nightmare might not be having the best game, a lot of the resources are spent on Nightmare, and because of that, able to clean up the kills, especially for Chef J, Feathers even as well too. And honestly, if you could throw down the Arcane Storm before you die, you're still doing some respective damage as well. Respectable damage, I should say, in the process. Lightly Moist Sock going for another engage again. Gets a great Magna Storm, getting both Chef J and Pink Penguin, but Chef J does get out, and now a skirmishing 1v1 against Reckoning on the side. It looks like a slight anime fight on the side while the main team fight's going on. Picks up another kill there on Rel. That's 6 kills for Chef J on this Ashe. Looking pretty strong at this point in time too. Looking for some more as well. And again, the front line from Batman really holding strong for the rest of the team. Chef J burned the flash there, but I think it was definitely a good use of flash to get to safety. Pink Penguin going to sacrifice himself there for the ADC, which I think is quite valuable. And just look at that too. Almost top CS in the game. 6-0-4. That's a big shutdown though that TPO is definitely looking to collect sometime. But how do they collect is a real question, right? Because I think you really need the J4 to Cataclysm and ult the Ashe to have a chance. But the positioning from Chef J has been really strong throughout the entire game so far.
Oh, you're right about that. If Jarvan wants to get to the or if they want to shut down the Ashe, it has to be through Jarvan. Jarvan has an excellent advantage against immobile characters. If they do not have flash, he drops their ult, they can't get out. But that also means he can't get out, which has been to the detriment of himself and his team at 2 different instances. Zach wants to fight in these nice, tight, constrained areas so that his ult hits multiple targets or that it's easy to grab and slam people together. And if everybody's locked into a small box, Seraphine's able to use her ult to hit multiple targets, which is just as we saw in that last team fight. Jarvan went in, and although the Seraphine was poised to die, and she did, she shot her ult off beforehand, setting up the fight and cleanup for Zach and Ashe.
Yeah, and look at the item choices from Monkey's Masterchef as well. We got Leandries on both the Zac and the Victor. We got a Blade of the Ruin King on the Ashe as well. They know that Dr. Mundo could be a problem if they don't itemize for these percent health damage items, but they look really prepared so far. Gold differential is actually still not that bad. A little bit over 1k for the side of Monkey's Masterchef, but it's really where the gold's at, right? And a lot of the gold is on that Ashe, on Chef J, so definitely where you want it to be. Reckoning definitely is not poor by any means, but just doesn't have the same economy as Chef J so far. Aggressive positioning from Chef J as well, too. Potentially could have been caught out there, but recognizing that J4 is not around to engage there, is feeling very confident on this Ashe so far. Oh, and here we get the Cataclysm on Pink Penguin, but the ultimate does come back out. Pink Penguin does go down, but Chef J still mostly uncharged. The Magnustorm does come through as well. We get the shutdown coming over. Reckoning is going to secure. Nightmare TP's in, does take out Reckoning, but Reckoning already got the shutdown. Looking pretty good so far. Lightly Moist Sock does go down though. 2 members, bot lane essentially, of Monkey Masterchef does go down in trade for 3. I think in a way that's still not a terrible exchange for TPO, especially getting that shutdown on Reckoning. And meanwhile, we got Katoria on this Dr. Mundo constantly just split pushing as well. Making it pretty annoying for Feathers, right? Because Feathers just going to have to constantly mash this Dr. Mundo and not be able to help the team as much in a lot of these situations.
All right, we now see Batman going to take advantage of this window to initiate taking the 4th Drake. We see Nightmare assisting him, and Katori looking to interfere and buy time for the rest of his team. Ziggy is approaching, and it looks like Batman and the rest of his team are now backing off. Ziggy starts to maintain the pressure on the Dragon, not wanting it to reset. Batman and Pink Pone and Nightmare are now getting ready to collapse again. Katori trying to zone them off.
All right, and Batman caught in a slight position here. A little bit hard to engage from this point, but might jump over from this wall here. Does go in, tries to maybe go for the steal, but it is secured by Ziggy and TPO, and they're going to run to safety as well, knowing that they don't really have to go for this fight in point in time. Because all health bars are pretty even on both sides field, but definitely really good for them. They are now on Soul Point. This is also a Hextech Drake, so going to be a lot of damage that they definitely need against the bulky front line of Monkey Masterchef. Here we go. Lightly Moist goes for another engage, only catches Batman in the Magnustorm, but does pull things in. A Shockwave from Efron does pull back in Batman, and we get Chef J actually going down again here. Nightmare does secure a kill on Rel, but that's not really the kill you want. 4 members still up on the side of TPO, and they've completely turned this game around. It's 17-7.
lightly moist sock making the play with Efron, setting up Efron's ult, allowing for a phenomenal follow-up coming up from Reckoning and Ziggy. And we can see where Reckoning gets their name, utilizing this wonderful window and the strong tanky Mundo. They're going to go ahead and take the Baron. 26 minutes into the game, the score is now 17-17 with a gold advantage about 1200 in favor of TPO.
Yeah, Feathers wants nothing to do with this. Actually does call the Forge God to try to do something here, but just going to burn that ultimate. Not really going to get too much value at that point in time. But yeah, the team fighting from TPO is something else, right? You got the Rel, Magnustorm. Okay, you spend it on just the Zac. Maybe not the best value, but then you got the Shockwave from Orianna to pull in the Zac and the Ashe as well. So just so much, so much team fight potential with this composition that even if you don't get the most value from these high value ultimates, you can still have a lot of room for error because you have other team fight ultimates that could collapse on top of it and just layer through some of that. And again, another kill, early kill on that Ashe really spells for success for the side of TPO. In fact, in that situation too, I think Ashe went out even sooner, so they didn't really even lose many members on their side besides, I think, Ziggy.
Oh, they definitely took the suggestion to go ahead and dive that Ashe, and they took it to heart. She was the first one to go down in that team fight, which mitigated a lot of the damage that they might have otherwise faced. We now see almost going to be a 3-lane split, so it's going to be a 1-3-1 with Orianna going top, Mundo holding the dead down on the bot lane, and the other 3 members pushing in the mid lane, trying to get as much value out of that Baron as they can.
Yeah, definitely going to try to put as much pressure as possible. They might even go for this Otacon now that they have all 3 lanes pushing in, or maybe even they might just bait him into a fight right here. Well, we got Ziggy here, 17 for 17 in kill participation on this
don't do it, don't do it.
Oh, and they are going for this Otacon. Let's see if Monkey's Masterchef will be able to react or not. They already shot the Hawk shot there, so they know they're on it, but they don't have their tank following up there too. So let's take a look at the action here. It is pretty close here. It looks like, oh, actually Monkey Master's Chef actually secures it, and it's going to be the Voracious Odd too, so they can get super aggressive with it. Ziggy does go down. Efron's probably not long for this world unless Efron get out. No, gets pulled back in, is getting shredded by the Victor and Master Chef, and they are feeling good about themselves here. Doesn't matter if they go down. They have the Otacon buff, and the Void Seeker is going to take down Chef J, and Batman does go down as well, but that's an easy reset for them, and Reckoning doing whatever he can to hold off this wave. Does have the Baron buff and a turret. Meanwhile, these 2 top laners just skirmishing back and forth, just adding more Heartsteel stacks to themselves. But I think Reckoning has to be a little bit careful here. Has a decent sized shutdown, and once they take out this turret, there's really nothing stopping Pink and Nightmare from diving him even further. Meanwhile, we see Feathers trying to do what he can to slow down Katori here. The Ornn ultimate is going to come through. I don't think Foley connects from that ankle, but Katori is in a tough spot. Chef J just slowing down Katori and just shredding through the health bar. Batman shredding as well with the Leandris, and the kill does go over to Batman.
What an upset. 4 of the 5 Barons are now off the map. I knew as soon as they went for the Atacon that was going to be a bad call. You typically don't take Atacon unless you know the opponents don't know you're there, that they're on the opposite side of the time, or they're on the death timer. It has such a strong impact in the middle of a fight that you set yourself up for it to be stolen, and you set yourself up to be at a disadvantage. And with Zac, no less, who can smite mid-air, you know, it's a significant risk. You got the Baron, you don't want to go for the risk, just push for the towers, and this is exactly why you do it. So we see a big tempo swing go back in favor of Monkey Master Chiefs. After that play, they are still only about 400 gold behind, but that's a significant change after being about 3,000 to 4,000 behind prior to that play.
All right, and we have another fight breakthrough through Feathers getting chunked quite a bit here. Hasn't even died yet, though. Going to see if he can heal back up here. Batman actually goes for the engage, but the rest of the team is not there to follow up yet. So far, we get the Seraphine ult to pull some of the members in. Lightly Moist Sock is about to go down. Hasn't even gone down yet. Does get out to safety. Victor shuts down Kaisa. Batman now finally goes out to Dr. Mundo as well. Most of the members of TPO still up, but both ADCs on both sides are down, and Ziggy is still alive, though. Should be able to secure the Hextech Soul at this point, too. Health bars are kind of low, but you just don't have the securing power on the side of Monkey Master Chef here, and Ornn's not even in this fight. I think they have to give this up here, and they might even give away 2 kills in the process, because how are you going to slow down Dr. Mundo? We see Feathers coming through as well. Call of the Forge God is going to connect, almost takes down Rel, but Rel is surviving with a splinter of health. Feathers finding the peel for the team and does actually get at least Nightmare out to safety, but Pink Penguin is going to go down as a cost there too. Probably didn't need to at that point, just because I feel like Zach was already dead. It was just really hard for a Seraphine and a Victor to secure that, but maybe they're just caught in a rock and a Dr. Mundo at that point and just couldn't get out to safety.
They may be able to back off, but you're kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place. You got to make a choice. If you just let them take it, you're going to be at a disadvantage. The Temple's going to go right back into their hands, and they're going to have the Dragon Soul. And so it's tough spot where you're thinking about what happens if we don't do anything and what happens if we do. They made the choice. We're healthy. We're going to see. Worst case, we might still be able to get out, and they did. We're now at 31 minutes into the game. The score is 22-20 in favor of TPO once again, who is now in possession of the Dragon Soul. Despite the big upset that happened around the Atacon, they are still in the leading position, which is crazy. This game has seen the scores go back and forth. Anything can happen at this point.
Yeah, I think something that TPO, even though they didn't get that Otacon, something that really capitalized on is that they were able to, I believe, take out that false god, that GA essentially buff from the Otacon from pretty much every member, I think, of Monkey's Master Chef, if not at least 4 members. And that's now 200 gold apiece. So even though they didn't get the kill, quote unquote, they still got a lot of value out of that. And you can see their gold advantage is still up by quite a bit here. And I mean, look at Dr. Mundo, 529 stacks on Heartsteel already. Dr. Mundo is going to be pretty scary, especially in the late game. Yes, you got 2 Leandries and a Blade of the Ruin King on the side of Monkey's Master Chef. But the problem is, if you spend all your resources and time trying to take out Dr. Mundo, the rest of your team is going to get shredded from Reckoning and the rest of the damage from TPO. So it's a catch-22, I gotta say, for them at this point in time. They have the feats of strength, but unfortunately, that's about all they have in terms of advantages over TPO. Oh, and we get the engage from Batman. Oh, a huge engage here. Huge ultimate, and Pink actually with the Seraphine ultimate as well catches 3 members off guard on the side of TPO. TPO getting maybe a little too aggressive there, not respecting the ultimates from Monkey Master Chef. And again, the game just turns back around, and now the gold lead's actually on Monkey Master Chef, and this is surely going to be a big point for them.
Taking advantage of this window, we see Monkey Master Chiefs cooking it up and going for the bear, and they take this. It's another 1,500 gold in their pocket, in addition to the buff that might allow them to close out the game or at least elevate the game state. The score is 25-20 after that, with an advantage of about 1,600 gold in favor of Monkey Master Chief.
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking about how hard it is to take down Dr. Mundo, but Dr. Mundo just melted right there. Unfortunate for them too, they were kind of under turret as well, so maybe not the best fight, but fantastic engage from Batman as well, ulting in with the Let's Bounce, and then the follow-up ultimate from Seraphine was absolutely huge. Pink Penguin, honestly, overall has played a really great game. Obviously has died 7 times, but a lot of times dying for his ADC, but I gotta say, I feel like Pink Penguin hasn't missed or thrown a bad Seraphine ult the entire game.
I'd have to agree with you. Pink Penguin had some phenomenal ults, some that are very memorable, and I don't think they have missed one. But let's not discount my, my most favorite player in this game, Moist Sock, because they have been able to make some very aggressive, successful plays with their own ult. Some of them may have been less successful than others, but I don't think that's necessarily on account of Moist Sock, as it is that Pink Penguin happens to be a champion that is strong in these close encounters and well-grouped fights, which are the type of fights that are being set up by TPO. It's what they want to do. They want to fight in the jungle. They want to lock them down with Jarvan ult. They want to be able to clump them together for Orianna ultimate, which just lines up everybody perfectly for Seraphine.
Definitely. And we can see both teams posturing on this bottom side river here. We got an unending despair on Rel. So, like I said, this game's already 35 plus minutes. It'll probably easily be over 40 minutes. And as predicted, I knew this game was going to be a banger if you saw how both teams played that early game too. Gold advantage is going to go over to Monkey Monkey's Master Chef, especially after that near team wipe in Baron. So a lot of econ going over, but we still do have the Hextech Soul over to the side of TPO. So it's really still anyone's game at this point in time. Both sides have a lot of utility to win these fights. I think it really just comes down to execution at this point.
I think it does too. Both teams, have shown that if they can get the right conditions, they can dominate a team fight. We do see Elder Drake hopping into the map here in the next 30 seconds to a minute, and this is probably going to be the game-defining fight. Whoever gets the advantage, creates the window, and wins this fight will get Elder and can close out.
Definitely.
Excuse me.
And the scaling potential from both teams is very strong as well. I mean, we can see Ornn has already fully upgraded all items of his teammate on to the the best possible versions of their respective items. Meanwhile, Dr. Mundo's heading towards 600 heart steel stacks and doesn't look like going to be slowing down anytime soon. Ziggy in a position here, but you don't really want to engage on the Ornn. That's going to take way too long to kill. Feathers being a team player, just going to spot out the vision here too. You can see both teams trying to set up for this Elder, which has spawned at this point too. Honestly, whoever wins this team fight, regardless of if they even get Elder or not, will probably win the game at this point in time. Spawn timers are going to be way too long. Ziggy is actually completely pushed out of position, which is really odd here too. Monkey's Master Chef has really strong positioning here, but the thing is, if they're caught between the TPO and the damage from Elder, it could be pretty annoying as well. I think they're trying to bait in TPO for a fight here, but they're taking a little bit of poke damage from Elder at the same time, and looks like they're going to start working on it here to try to bait them in. And they are starting to slowly chunk down this Elder Dragon. Let's see what they can do. The Void Seeker is going to connect onto the Nightmare at this point in time too. Meanwhile, we got Reckoning actually clearing some of the mid wave. This Elder is getting quite low. Call of the Forge God is coming through, and Ornn is going to knock up Lightly Moist Sock. Probably not the target you want here. In comes the Rel flashing in here. Magnus Storm is going to catch Pink and Batman in this process. Who's going to get the smite? It's actually going to be Orion that steals it. TPO does take it, but the fight is still going over to the side of Monkey's Master Chef. Their health bars are quite full. Katori comes in though, full health. Mundo is going to be a problem here. Nightmare going to try to take out Efron, and Efron actually does take out the Victor, and now we got the two tanks fighting it through. Batman is still here, but Katori has the Elder buff. How do you take out this Mundo at this point in time? Look at Batman. He's saying, you know what? I'm not even going to try. I'm just out of here. Feathers, you're on your own. You see the two tanks stacking back and forth. Not really even getting Feathers into Elder territory. And finally, we get the shutdown for Dr. Mundo on Katori. And I feel like this game's going to go on for another 30 minutes at this point.
Phenomenal play from TPO. So if you didn't catch it, Katori was split pushing, was able to take 2 towers. Then the rest of their team, Ziggy and them, were not looking to commit for the Elder, or waited for the Elder to get nice and low. Lightly Moist Sock engages when there's about 3,000 left on that Elder, pops the ult, trying to create a window for Ziggy to come in, and Ziggy comes in and is only about 200 HP short of smite stealing that Drake. Fortunately, the ball is on top of him as Oriana hits that W button, and they are able to take the Elder Dragon and now take the fight. Most of them probably don't have the buff anymore except for Mundo, but you know what? That's okay, because they avoided disaster and got 2 towers in the process. Now we are almost 40 minutes into the game. The score is 29-24, but there's a 3,000 gold advantage in favor of TPO. Once again, the winds of fortune have shifted.
No, for sure. I mean, and when you only got tanks remaining at this point in time too, like, you just can't take out Katori on this Dr. Mundo, so you need to keep your carries alive. But how do you do it with so much health bars? Here we get the engage from Batman. Is going to be on Lightly Moist Sock at this point in time. You'll take anyone down because there's so much T5 potential if you leave Lightly Moist Sock alive. Chef J is going to be the one to take that kill. However, the rest of the team from TPO is still alive. You see Dr. Mundo split pushing, so Feather's going to have to match this, otherwise you're going to get way too much value here. Ziggy might just be going for the hero play, going for the steal. Meanwhile, the remainder of the team, Efron and Reckoning, going for split pushing as well down the middle. Yes, they might get the Baron, but at what cost? They are losing multiple turrets at this point in time.
Was that Pink Penguin's ult?
It might have been. Yeah, I think Pink Penguin did use the Seraphine ultimate at this point in time. Ziggy going to go for the hero steal. Honestly, even if Ziggy doesn't get the steal, they're getting so much value at this point in time. And it looks like he does get the steal from the rest of the team. That is heartbreaking for Monkey Master Chef, because now they already have members beating down onto their inhibitors, their Nexus turrets as well. And you got the rest of the team trying to recall, but they don't even have the empowered recall at this point too. There's no way he stopped Dr. Mundo at this point too. He's just gonna go for a Nexus. No, he's gonna go for the kill instead. Having too much fun on this Dr. Mundo. 735 hard steel stacks, and that win goes over to TPO Reformed.
What the heck was that game? The steals, the constant steals. Atacon got stolen, Elder Dragon got stolen, Last Baron gets stolen. Nothing is going to the original teams. They just keep stealing from each other.
Oh my gosh, and look at that damage. Top damage from Katoria on Dr. Mundo. 55,000 damage. Wild. Absolutely wild. But I mean, when you're that late game into Dr. Mundo, it is not going to be a good time for the opposing team. And just, I feel like that gambit just did not pay off for Monkey Master Chefs, because at that point too, even if you get the Baron, you've already lost almost your entire base. And you know, you got minions beating down you as well. So even if you have Baron buff, you don't even have a lot of minions to kind of hold back some of that pressure. And the health bars on the side of TPO were still very full. So you might even lose the team fight even after getting Baron buff. Your best hope is to, you know, get the empowered recall so you could join the fight earlier. But yeah, that turret damage from Dr. Mundo, pretty nasty stuff. But the good news for Monkey's Master Chef is that this is a fearless draft, so they don't have to see Dr. Mundo again for the remainder of today, at least.
No Orin, no Zach.
No Orin, no Zach, yeah.
No Rel. No, I mean, there are a lot of big threats out of here.
Yeah, definitely. Final thoughts on that game before we head to a quick break, Professor Malice.
Final thoughts. TPO delivered. They want to give me that PTO with my paid time off. One more win, and we won't go with the overtime, because if they win the overtime, they're defying their name. So come on, I'm praying for you. I'm betting on you.
All right.
Give us a game two. Let's go TPO. I'm praising. Let's go.
Well, I guess I gotta vote for Monkey's Master Chef too to see if we could get a banger game 3 here. We'll be here all night, but I'm having a ton of fun. Hope you all are as well. We're gonna take a quick break, but we'll be right back for game number 2.
550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ay, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hate plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a day with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ay, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In the yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the oh well. Need 100 million on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing kush clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Welcome back, everyone, to Titan Esports Divinity League. We are here, week number 4. We just had game number 1, TPO versus Monkeys Masterchef. TPO was able to take that first win. I believe they're like a slight underdog, at least based on their standings, but it is still pretty early in the Divinity League. And of course, I got my cat Cranberry as well for the cat lovers, and Golden, my other cat's Cheggy over there on this cat tree, who's a little bit less keen to being picked up. But I'm joined by Professor Malice. How you doing after that first game break?
I'm doing better than good, better than most, and quite excited to look at the cat on your camera right now. Definitely one of the more interesting things, but not as interesting as that last game, as we saw a phenomenal game of Pong as the score kept going back and forth as we tried to figure out who was going to be the one that took it. There was 3 major objectives that got stolen that game. It was the Atacon, it was the Elder Dragon, and finally concluded with the stealing of the Baron. It was crazy. In all those scenarios, the original initiating team did not get the objective.
That's right. Yeah. And I mean, things look pretty strong for Monkeys Masterchef in the early game, right? They had the feats of strength. They had an Ash that was 6-0 to start, but the draft, I think, was just much more favorable for TPO, right? They just had way more engaged, way more team fight potential. And that Dr. Mundo, 55k total damage, just cannot be stopped, especially in that end game. So very, very good adaptation to the various moves that Monkeys Masterchef brought to the table. But we're gonna have to see how Monkeys Masterchef is going to respond in game number 2. They started on blue side last game. They chose to stay on blue side this game. Obviously, blue side typically has a slightly higher win rate. My friends in higher elo like to say it's because of camera viewpoint. I'm not really fully sure on why, but I do think that stat line is pretty consistent. And of course, for those joining us right now, this is a fearless draft. So any champ stats were used in the first game from either team are no longer eligible. of course, anything that was banned in the first game, of course, can still be eligible because they weren't played. So something to look out for. But yeah, we could probably head over to draft if that is ready from our players. Right. Here we go. Oh, we have Monkey's Masterchef with the first ban option. They're going to ban out Vi again, just like last game, which, again, pretty solid pick. And given how active Ziggy was in a lot of those fights, I think Ziggy probably had the highest kill participation on his team. At one point, had 100% kill participation throughout the first, like, probably 20 minutes of the game. But probably already recognizing that it's they have a lot of utility in that jungler going for those single targets here. We get the brand ban and then the Twitch ban as well for Monkey's Master Chef. I believe they banned Lowy and Caitlyn and Jinx last game in those first 6 bans.
Yeah, they did get rid of Caitlyn for their first one, or their last one. I guess it was their second ban, different order. But we do see Jinx going away again, so it seems to be the same bans throughout. Now I think the Vi is a great ban. We saw how much they were able to do with the Jarvan. I'm wondering if Team TPO is going to be taking a Jin Zhao or another dive heavy champion, perhaps even a Nocturne.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see how this is going to be played out. Mel is available, but looks like he's actually going to be a Hui pickup for the side of Monkey's Master Chef too. I mean, definitely opting for a lot of these control mages in the mid lane. I mean, I guess there's a chance that this could be a Hui bot or even a Hui support. Seems unlikely though, and looks like Ziggy is going to pick up Mumu as the jungler for the side TPO. Definitely a very strong jungler. A lot of great engage as well too in this current patch.
Jin, they don't match the way. Maybe they're not sure where he's going to go and they don't want to reveal anything early, so they took 2 very safe blindable picks. You can blind the Amumu and you can blind the Jin, and if you really wanted with the Amumu, depending on what the support is, you can also flex the Amumu down bot lane. Not as popular in recent patches as it has been in the past, but as an avid Amumu enjoyer, I still recommend it as a phenomenal engage support, especially when it comes to throwing off your opponent. And we do see Nightmare picking up the Skarner for their team, and we see it paired with Batman grabbing the MF for their team. We're looking for a Wombo combo comp. A Bra might be a great pick, although it doesn't synergize super well with the Jin.
Yeah, it's actually going to be, it looks like a Wukong top, because I can't imagine Mumu going to any possible lane here. But the Skarner pickup, the MF pickup it could be a support as well too. Yeah, good point. The Skarner and MF pickup is really big for Monkey's Master Chef. I mean, Skarner is super strong in this current patch as well. We get the Garen ban and the Braum ban as well. Definitely interesting too. I mean, I think they're going to try to figure out. They're maybe just hypothesizing that this Wukong might actually be a support. Otherwise, the Garen ban doesn't really make too much sense from the side of Monkey's Master Chef. But
I think they're thinking that Wukong's going to be jungle and the Amumu is going to be going support.
Oh, Amumu support. Okay, I got you. Yeah. Either way, top laner not fully picked up yet from TPO is a strong potential here. So we're gonna have to see. Oh, we do get the Mel. Okay, Mel is going to be making her appearance, at least in the Divinity League on broadcast. I'm sure has maybe made some appearances in various other games that weren't being streamed here. But this is going to make things pretty interesting. We get the Leona pickup as well. Definitely a very solid pairing for the Misfortune. Can slow down a lot of things with the ultimate and lock down a lot of champions. A lot of lockdown potential for the side of Monkey Master Chef, and we do get the Urgot pickup as the final pick. Let's see what top laner is going to be picked up. Probably something on the slightly bulkier side, right?
Is that Urgot blind or is that Urgot into Wukong?
Oh, this is so interesting because Tom Kench could be flex as a support as well or top laner, but my guess is that's going to be Tom Kench top side too. I'm going to let my cat go at this point too.
Yeah, I want to guess.
My guess is going to be Tom Kench top with a Mumu support.
Yeah, that's my guess too.
Okay.
I mean, there is a Wukong support build that's going around. There's a PDF has some really funny suggestions on how to play it. It can work. My boss over at the university really likes to play that Wukong support too. I hope we get to see it today, but I'm not optimistic. That's probably Kench top and a Mumu support.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh!
So we're gonna...
That's Wukong top.
Oh, it's actually... Yeah, so it's going to be... So the final picks might be a little bit different than what we see on the graphic. So we'll see it in the loading screen, but I believe they said it was a Mumu support here from production. So that's the case. It'll be interesting for sure. And Tom Kench top and Wukong jungle. So it looks like we're spot on with our predictions here.
We were.
All right. But either way, we're going to have our teams load up here. Mel, very, very strong still in this current patch. She did get hotfix nerfed once or twice, but still quite overwhelming on how strong she is. And, you know, unfortunately, the nerf won't be hitting her anytime soon. Not soon enough for Monkey's Masterchef. But just because you have Mel doesn't mean you win the game for sure. Let's get into game number 2 here. TPO already 1-0 over Monkey's Masterchef. They need one more to close out this best of 3. Monkey's Masterchef needs to win this game to force a game number 3.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Yes.
Is it just me, or does it look like Monkey Masterchef already has 2 of the... Okay, never mind. They got it. We're good. Okay, so...
Might have been a slight graphical error, but we're good. We're good to go here.
All right, game starting off. Both teams once again going with a 5-point defense. Neither team really looking to do any invade. We might see some scouting coming from the Moist Sock, dropping a ward into the Raptor pit. Gets stopped by Pink Pongwon. They've had quite the rivalry last game, and looks like they're not going to let him ward for free. But he still has the opportunity to reset here and get his HP back. Nightmare matches that ward by getting his own ward into the Raptor pit.
I got a question for you, Professor Malice, as we're starting to get into lanes here. It doesn't look like too much action is going to happen. For those that might not be as familiar, what is the benefit of having a Mumu as a support over another type of more traditional tanky engage champ with some type of hook or some type of engage like the bandage toss, such as like a Nautilus or Blitzcrank, Leona, obviously?
It would be in the number of actions. There's a concept I like to call action and reaction. And every champion has a number of moves they can use. And if you use it to engage on somebody, you can't use it to disengage. And so part of this, when it comes to fighting, is you want to have more actions than your opponents do, because then you'll have the tempo. You can make a play that they can't respond to. A Mumu has 2 stuns on his Q, allowing him to use one to engage, forcing a disengage, and still have another one that he can follow up on, leading to a winning fight. Another advantage coming from this is just that the impact of his ult is significantly better than many of the other ultimates that are out there. His ult is going to hit more targets than Leona. It's going to hit it consistently. It's not a skill shot. You can't miss it unless they're too far away, in which case you just don't push the button. And then lastly, when it comes to draft, one of the advantages is that you can deceive your opponents and perhaps throw off their draft or get information by drafting the Amumu early before you pick support or before you pick your jungle.
Fantastic explanation. I mean, as we saw too, we're thinking, right off the bat, that's a Mumu jungle, right? But I think to the trained eye, that could easily be a Mumu support. Speaking of Mumu support, here comes Lightly Moist Sock, going to do the bandage toss, but the Leona is going to land the stun as well. Lightly Moist Sock might be in trouble, is forced to flash out of there, but does get to safety. Meanwhile, Reckoning has that 4th bullet there, but you're going to go back to CSing. So, that early game Mumu definitely doesn't have as much utility probably as that Leona.
I actually argue he has more utility. He just lacks a bit of damage, because again, if he uses that first Q as a connector to get close enough, then he's going to match Leona in stuns. But if he's able to land that first Q and then save the second one for a follow-up, he's going to have 2 stuns where Leona's only going to have 1. And both stuns from his Q are going to last longer than the temporary stun on the E when E gets hit, and matches the duration of Leona's Q.
And here we go. We have Ziggy with the clone here, just distracting Batman a little bit. Batman looking for a potential gank. Reckoning, again, pretty low on mana at this point in the early game, but does have the space to get to safety here. And looks like Batman's going to back off a bit as well. Reckoning looking to maybe just stop this recall a bit. Oh, we get a flash forward from Pink Penguin. Ace going to catch Reckoning, but Lightly Moist Stock going to die for the ADC here. First blood does go over to Chef J in that misfortune. Reckoning gets a kill back on Pink Penguin on the Leona. And now the chase is on. Ziggy looking very aggressive here. Almost gets Batman, but no, the deadly flourish does not land. And Batman is going to get to safety. 1-for-1 trade here. Both supports going down. Both kills going to respective ADCs. So I'd say overall a pretty even trade. About as even as could get.
It was almost a double kill in favor for TPO. Absolutely about as even as you can get in exchange for giving up first blood. They had an opportunity to possibly pick up a second kill. We're now about 5 minutes into the game, and we already see more action than we did in the previous game. Last game, if you recall, it took over 10 minutes for the first blood to be decided.
And looking at the rest of the map here too, I mean, CS looking fairly even for the most part. Not too much action on both sides there too. We did get the flash burn from both junglers in that fight, and then we had both flash burn from respective supports. But outside of that, no other summoner spells really worthy of note. Jin did have to flash there. Reckoning did have to flash to get out of that. A fantastic engage, I gotta say, from Pink Penguin as well to start that fight off, right? Jin flashed out of that, but was still able to land the Zenith Blade to lock down Jin and forcing out that very crucial summoner spell.
Interesting strategy here is a lane swap happening around the 5-minute mark, and this is done as a way to secure the Void Grubs. And so as we get closer to the Void Grub spawning, I'm expecting the bot lane for TPO to roam up and assist that. They will have a number advantage because there's 2 people in bot lane or 2 people in their bot lane duo is more than just a mid laner. That said, the opposing team, or MKM Monkey Master Chief support, is also up there too, meaning that the play loses an advantage because Nightmare is going to be at a higher level and have a higher impact than Reckoning.
Definitely, yeah, and it looks like this bot lane is going to stay mid for the time being. Ziggy trying to get some vision here, but the Scuttle Crab is providing vision for blue side already, so they know that they're on the grubs. Let's see if Batman, Pink Penguin, and the rest of the team from Monkey Master Chef is going to go for this fight or not. Honestly, for them, if they secure just one grub, it could be valuable here, but Batman does get slightly caught out here. However, Lightly Moist Sock is going to be pinned against the wall. The engage come through. Katori actually takes down Batman. Feathers takes down Moist Sock. And here we see more of the fight going to continue here. Tom Kench was able to swallow up the opposing support there too. Or actually, no, I think it was his own teammate actually to get to safety. But they're going to continue to grab these grubs. They got 2 already. If they could get the third one, that is going to be heading over 1 progress point towards that feats of strength on the monster slaying aspect of that. Looks like Nightmare going to try to slow down the backs here, but not going to get too much value. So a pretty good trade, I gotta say, for TPO. They pick up 3 kills, which means that they do get that feats of strength for Warfare. So they are inching their way towards the feats, and I gotta say, I feel like most of the time the team that wins the feats doesn't actually end up winning the game. We got a Mumu versus ADC fight here too. Slightly Moist Sock going for a lot here in the middle of a ton of minions, and has 2 levels down, goes for the kind of suicide kill and does get it there, but Chef J is going to pick up the kill on Lightly Moist Sock, and the fight's going to continue here. Reckoning caught in a really tough position. 1v3 here, especially as a Jin. You're just not going to be able to take out these 2 tanks plus a Hoi by yourself. So overall, trade looking pretty good for Monkey Master Chef there. Good response there, but honestly, pretty surprising that the Mumu was able to even just take out the Misfortune that low too, in the middle of a ton of miniways, down 2 levels. Meanwhile, the fight does not stop going here. Katori is going to dive in here. Feathers is quite low. I think miss a ton lash, but that's not going to be an issue. Ziggy is going to secure that kill on the Wukong, and yeah, that's last game a little bit slow on the Battlefront, but looks like both teams are looking for a bloodbath in the second game, and we might just get a ruinous Otacon at this rate.
A lot more action this time around. Looking at his team compositions, I was a bit worried. I definitely was thinking that Monkey Master Chief has the better composition, is easier to execute, very clear team identity, and was a bit worried about how TPO was going to perform. But they are getting the kills on their Wukong, and if there's going to be an upset in this game, it's going to be based on the Mel, the Amumu, and the Wukong, and we see Wukong going 2-0-2. He's a phenomenal strong pick, and he is just taking the lead here. The bot lane fight that we saw earlier, where we saw Reckoning get caught out by Nightmare, Pink Pong, and Pink Pong, and Batman was an interesting scenario, because while Jin does die there and puts 300 gold over to Monkey Master Chief, they did lose tempo. They had to back off and reset the dragon, meaning a good chunk of time that was spent setting up that first dragon, it was just lost to secure the kill, and they returned once again to get that dragon. But how this translates is we can see Wukong is currently up by almost 2 camps because of that lost time. Actually closer to 3 camps.
Yeah, and we see a level advantage on Katori as well. Tom Kench over this Urgot. Both have a kill to their name, and honestly, on a gold front, they probably have about the same amount of resources in that standpoint. Tom Kench, I mean, we saw Katori on Dr. Mundo stacking up that Heartsteel, and Tom Kench is definitely another Heartstealing stacking champion, so definitely loving to play that back again and see if can output similar damage, because Tom Kench definitely puts out quite a bit of damage as well, just like Dr. Mundo in that late game. Just one of those stupid tanks that do so much damage and just never die too. Very frustrating to play into, but hey, that's part of the game, and you need to know how to counter it. But we're gonna see how that goes. The action in mid has not been that strong. I mean, we did see Nightmare kind of rotate towards that Grubs to help out with that fight, but outside of that, it's just been kind of a quiet game from both mid laners here. Mel does get pretty strong in that late game, but so far still trying to pick up the items for that.
All right, we might see some action. Lightly Moist Sock is now level 6, has their ultimate, and they are a powerhouse when it comes to team fighting.
Definitely. I mean, and the thing I got respect for Lightly Moist Sock is that you don't got to tell the man to engage, right? Like, he will go for the engage no matter what, even trying to 1v1 a Misfortune 2 levels down as well in the middle of a minion wave. I mean, that's the thing, right? Lightly Moist Sock, sometimes engages might not be perfect, but is not scared to set up the fights for the team and to die for his ADC, which really makes the team fights, I think, a lot easier for the rest of TPO. Speaking of fights here, looks like Katori is going to dive down onto Feathers. Not really going to do too much. Ziggy is lurking around just in case the fight breaks out, but I think they're going to start posturing for the second set of Grubs. 6 Grubs over for Katori would not be a fun time, because you know Katori has no qualms about split pushing throughout the game. Another dive comes through as well, just constantly re-engaging on Feathers on this Urgot. Has to be kind of careful though in case Urgot brings it closer to the turret here, but does get swallowed up from Katori by a huge Skarner up from Batman. Is going to pull the Tom Kench in, and now we get a shutdown on Ziggy and on Katori. Huge ultimate from Batman. Feathers does go down for the troubles there, but that's definitely going to be a really solid pickup. Actually, Feathers also picked up a kill on his own, I believe, at that point in time, and now we're going to get a set of Grubs. We're going to go over to Monkey Master Chef, so no 6 Grubs going over to the side of TPO. TPO just going to give that up as well. But yeah, really great response from Batman to kind of put him back into this game.
I'm actually a little surprised that Mel and Amumu didn't try to take that fight there, because, you know, we see Nightmare on the outer side of it. Mumu is about to go land the Q on the Nightmare. He's still waiting for his teammates to show up, but he has the 2 Qs, he has the ult, he has Ignite, he's got a good amount of damage he can deal on Nightmare, and then they had Mel to follow up on that stun that would have pulled Skarner away and had bought time for the Tom Kents to TP and intervene, but they didn't take the fight. We're now almost 13 minutes into the game. The score is 6-6 with a 300 gold advantage going to Monkey Master Chefs.
Definitely. I mean, it's still a long game though, and it's still a fairly close game between these two teams. And I think, given how game 1 ended and how long that went for, I think this one might be easily over 35-minute game as well, just like the last one. But we're going to see how that goes. Efron is going to delay the back of Nightmare, and meanwhile, we got both top laners doing what they can here. A little poke back and forth, but we haven't really seen the true power of Mel get unleashed in this game quite yet. I think Efron opted for a tier, so going for a little bit maybe slower damage build here.
You see some light exchanges going between Reckoning and Pink Pongwon as they fight over vision, and Efron is still doing some long-range exchange with Nightmare as well, just trying to test each other. But Nightmare is going to be forced to recall as he is out of mana.
Yeah, I do think the Hui blind pick was actually pretty smart from Monkey's Master Chef, because they knew that there's always going to be a chance for Mel, right? Which is why they didn't even opt to ban Mel, even though they could have. They're just saying, you know what? You can play Mel into Hui and see how that goes, because Hui does have quite a bit of range to match Mel. The problem with Mel is usually you don't want to trade too long with her if you get hit by her spells, but if you don't get hit by the spells, it's actually not too bad. And it looks like Katori might have the Heartsteel already at this point. Not fully sure, but either way, these two top laners are very happy exchanging blows back and forth in these fights here. Meanwhile, both teams are pushing for this Mountain Drake. Big fights around breakdown in this bottom side.
Looking at the lightly moist sock here, looking for a Q angle. He lands one, and we can see the Q follow up with ult, but he hasn't found a chance to get in, and is getting sieged and poked off by Chef and Nightmare.
Yeah, a little bit hard to find the engage there. Lightly moist sock is level 6 though, so is the Leona, so both supports having very crucial ultimates for this fight. We're getting the vision cleared up from Monkey Master Supreme. Oh, and here comes the Leona ultimate, and Pink Penguin is going to continue to engage, and then Wrecking just gets absolutely blown up. Pink Penguin feeding the kill over to the Hui as well. So everything going pretty well for Monkey Master Chef at this moment in time. I think they're probably going to back off unless Ziggy pulls off a crazy steal yet again. But it looks like Ziggy is going to opt to avoid that, which means that the feats of monster slaying is going to go over to the side of Monkey Master Chefs. And that means that first turret is going to determine who gets a feast of strength this game.
Looking at the turrets right now, wondering who that could be, and I think that well, actually pretty even all the way around. Monkey Master Chief is trying to use their Voidlings to pick in a fight, and Amumu goes in and engages on Pink Penguin, and Chef gets the double ult off, or the double off after getting a Q. Master Chef is now trying to run away, but Amumu might still have one more Q, is able to land, trying to cut off the angle. MF is a little bit worried about where it's going to land, and he's able to land it. Chef does get to walk away to safety. A counter engage coming from Batman as it knocks two of them out. We see Reckoning go down. Lightly moist sock is almost out.
Yeah,
is able to get away. Efron chasing them down. Batman's still going after.
Oh, a huge stun as well, but we got Nightmare trying to land some damage onto the Moon. Doesn't quite get it. Reckoning goes down yet again, and Chef J just barely getting out in a lot of these fights too. Really, it just looks like a Mumu just constantly chasing down Chef J on this misfortune whenever can. Efron, great rotation there to kind of ease up some of the pressure, and does secure his first kill with that Mel, but does have to be pretty careful here because Garner is still in the area. Looks like the Rift Herald was taken though in the process, so good macro from the side of TPO to get some value here when there wasn't value ahead of time. Oh, and we get the combination as well. Mel taking down Hui after the curtain call from Jin as well to soften up Nightmare on that Hui, and that's, I believe, 2 kills now going over to Mel, and Mel's going to probably start snowballing a bit with this damage.
We see, I was thinking first tower, as you said earlier, was going to be the deciding factor for the feats of, well, the feats, but that's not the case this game, because Monkey Master Chief were able to get the feat of warfare, were they not? So between the monster and feat of warfare, that puts them, they got the feats.
Yeah,
TPO was able to get the,
so Monkey Master Chef was actually able to get that Feats of Warfare too, but wait, how did they get it? Because I see all 3 turrets up, right, for the side of TPO. Am I mistaken?
They got the warfare earlier today, or earlier in this game, and we commented on it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just lost in the sauce here a bit with all this action. But here we go. We actually have Chef J trying to match the Mel, and actually a huge double up there to chunk a lot of the damage on that the health bar on that Mel as well. So we're going to have to be forced to recall at this point in time. But gold differential pretty negligible at this point in time. Tomcat has had this Heartsteel for quite a while and hasn't gotten a single stack on it, which is kind of interesting. But looking like there might be a gank coming over to Katori, but Katori is not easy to kill. Just like Dr. Mundo, Tom Kench has a lot of escape avenue, and so Katori very comfortable with just drawing a lot of the pressure off from the rest of the team, and then allowing Monkey or allowing TPO to just put in work in other places of the map. So good macro from them across the board. But yeah, this Jhin unfortunately is a little bit caught in a lot of bad positions, I gotta say. So going to see how Reckoning is going to position in further fights, because I feel like Jhin does go down pretty early, but the rest of the cleanup from TPO does help keep them in this game still.
I think it's just it's the action and reactions, and there's only so many things Jins can do to avoid what's coming at him. And you've got the long range abilities from Nightmare. You've got Batman trying to dive him, who's able to pass through the walls, and then you got Leona, who's got a long range ult that can stun him in place, as well as threatening him from the front by throwing an E in his face. So it's, as the ADC, the prime target in the game, he's likely going to be the one that goes down first in a lot of these fights, unless he's too far back, but then in which case he won't be able to influence the fight, and that's exactly what Monkey Master Chief wants.
Yeah, it looks like they do have vision in this bush here, which is why TPO is not going to walk into a Skarn or Leona trap. But I gotta say, both supports too have been playing a really great job of securing, locking down the opposing ADC, right? Even though Lightly Moist Sock might have not killed Chef J very often, Chef J always seems like he's running for his life from this sad mummy throughout every fight. And meanwhile, Pink Penguin just has eyes set on Reckoning in every one of these fights too, and a lot of times able to get the fights. Speaking of fights here, we get the flash forward, the Zenith Blade, forcing the flash out from Jhin to avoid the solar flare. And meanwhile, we get the Cyclone coming out as well from Ziggy. The fight is continuing, and here comes the Curtain's call to really well positioned to really push away the positioning from the rest. Oh, actually is able to even land 2 of those bullets on Nightmare as well. I thought Nightmare was just out of range. Katori trying to do what he can to get out of this. Thick Skin going to keep him alive so far here, but overall, fight's looking pretty solid so far for TPO. Only picking up the Leona though, but kind of the re-engage from them after Leona with the aggressive flash forward was able to punish some of that aggression. Does have to burn his own flash in the process, Reckoning, but I think overall going to be a much better trade than the usual trades of Pink Penguin just kind of sitting on top of this Jhin throughout the entire game.
It was a great play on the part of Lightly Moist Sock. They initiated with the Q to not allow MF to get any chain damage off on Reckoning, who is pretty far back. Pink Penguin went very deep for him, and we had essentially 2 different fights going on at the same time, resulting in a net 1 kill for TPO. They then leveraged this window to go ahead and secure the 3rd Drake, which is the Infernal Drake. If they can get 3 more of those, each of them giving a 3% buff to AP and AD damage, we're going to see a significant threat in terms of damage output from TPO.
Yeah, we got Hextech last game, and now Infernal Drake is going to be definitely another high damage game, especially given how, how much fighting there is in this specific game as well. It's still pretty close score-wise too. Only a little over a 1k goal differential for TPO, and mostly probably because they just won that more recent fights. But yeah, as the action is loading up too, a big shout out to Blue Otter League for the raid as well. Welcome in to people joining our broadcast today. This is Divinity League Fearless, and TPO is up 1-0 in this best of 3. So Monkey Masterchef definitely has to win this game to push for game number 3. We do get the reflect from Mel to avoid some of that damage, but this tower looks like it's surely going to go down. Nightmare is going to take it for his team.
All right, as casters and broadcasters, we often ask how we feel about the game, and we like to hype it up and say, oh, it's going to be close, it's going to be a great day. But this is, well, exactly that. It's been a very close series, and just like the last game, this one is still neck and neck. The score, the lead has gone back and forth and changed hands a couple times, and I can expect it will continue to do the same as we see this game come to its conclusion.
Yeah, definitely. Look at all these Jhin traps as well to slow down some of these minions. And Chef J, gets caught in the deadly flourish as well. Doesn't look like nothing's going to really happen here though to go for that engage. But I think Lightly Moist Sock is looking for that engagement at any moment now. Meanwhile, Ping Pongguin on the Leona also looking to counter engage at a moment's time. But yeah, between these two ADCs and supports, it's definitely making the game quite interesting. Ziggy is in this bush, no vision of it from the side of Monkey Master Chef. Let's see if they're going to walk in here or not. I mean, Skarner can probably safely walk in here and not worry about too much damage. I mean, also, there's just not much damage in these bushes because the Jin's not nearby, and neither is Mel. So Batman instead opting to go for a gank here on Katori on this Tahm Kench. Doesn't actually quite get Tahm Kench, and Tahm Kench is going to be able to dive out to safety.
And we see action coming in the top lane as Nightmare teleports in to regroup with his team. With the Atacon spawning on the map in here at 24 minutes into the game, they're looking for a opportunity, I guess, to pick somebody off and create the window for gold for that objective. Significant damage being put on Ziggy from Nightmare. Nightmare ult is now out of commission.
Yeah, I mean, does chunk Ziggy quite a bit, but Ziggy could probably just reset here because they're not really even going for the Otacon. So I don't know if it's the best use of the Spiraling Despair, but if Ziggy resets too, that ultimate cooldown might be back up anyway, so maybe not completely wasted in that situation. But this is going to be another voracious Otacon. We saw how that went last game. Especially if a team fight is going, I mean, whoever smites and steals that can have a huge advantage in that ensuing team fight. Oh, and we get the flash forward from the Mumu. Curse of the Sad Mummy is going to come through, going to stun up both the tanks here, but Chef J is into safety. However, the bullet time didn't really connect on anyone here. The Mumu does go down. We get Efron as well taking the support down. All that damage coming through. Oh, and the reflect actually going to be huge here. Oh, and here comes the current call. Can you land the bullets? And looks like no. Reckoning is shooting blind here. Chef J does come out of safety, but two members going down. I mean, respective jungle and support from both sides going down here too. The only difference here is that Chef J is a little bit chunked, so can't really defend this turret as well compared to the rest of TPO. Just continue to push down this objective, but they're going to back off as well. And like I said, if this game can't get any closer, I don't know. It's 11-11, about 2K, less than 2K goal differential so far in this game, and neither team going for this voracious Otacon just yet.
It looks to me that goal difference is primarily coming from the jungle and the ADC. Wukong is currently up by nearly 50 CS, which is equivalent of about 12 to 13 camps over his counterpart. And while Jin is down by about 60 CS himself, he's only about 300 gold behind the MF. And I have to give this to a higher kill participation, as well as the Cole that we saw him build earlier in the game, giving him a value of about 180 gold, or the value of about 6 or 7 minions.
That's right.
Actually, I think it's more like 8 or 9 minions if I do my math correctly.
Well, I haven't been good at math in a while, so I will trust your take on that, Professor. And we see the Monkey's Master Chef is going to grab the Scuttle. And speaking of grabbing, they are grabbing the clone of Ziggy, but Ziggy still gets impaled here, and now caught in a really tough position, forced to Cyclone, but Cyclone doesn't do enough. Chef J's the only one kind of chunked at this point too, but has a full front line and going to grab some these fruits to heal back up here. But without the jungler for the side of TPO, this is going to be a hard engage. But the curtain call actually comes through. They're looking to fight this still. Hey, if you take out Batman, you take out the rest of the team of Monkey Master Chef, then no big deal. You don't even need the smite to secure it. But looks like Monkey Master Chef is going to continue to whittle down this Drake. They might die for this as well, but let's see if they can take it down fast enough for Batman to go for this smite. It is getting quite low. Batman is going to get this Infernal Drake. We get Katori diving in here as well. Spiraling Despair is going to connect onto Katori. Not going to do enough damage, but I think the rest of the team is going to let him die. Efron doing a little poke damage, just not enough. In a fantastic team fight from Monkey Master Chef. And again, the team is just swaying back and forth. Now, only a 500 gold differential between the two teams. TPO still having that advantage, though.
Man, this would be a great clip right there to talk about ZOI, or Zone of Influence, which is a phenomenal way to break down our positioning relative to our opponents. And we saw there that while there was about 5 players from both teams hovering around that dragon, Ziggy was way too far out of position onto the right side there, where he got picked off into a 1v5 because Monkey Master Chefs were able to collapse on him. And a similar thing happens to Katori. When Katori goes in, the rest of his team could not follow up. And so despite it being a 4v5, where they're playing front to back, hoping to siege them out, he ends up diving and putting him in position where he's 1v5, and despite being incredibly tanky, is able to get dropped in a short amount of time, giving a second kill over to Monkey Master Chef.
Yeah, I really like the play from Batman as well, right? To go for the E to force out the clone from Ziggy, and then right after the clone was forced out, you just impale him, and then he's dead, you know? So, like, good way to not waste your impale on a potential clone, because I think we saw that in a previous fight there, too. But recognizing how tricky it is sometimes to fight Wukong in those situations, just Ziggy just, unfortunately, was not in the position with the rest of the team for that. But really great position from Monkey's Master Chef for that fight throughout, and just, no one even died in the process of that Drake. I mean, they were even able to pick up Katori in the process. So losing 2 members on the side of TPO and still losing Drake was definitely not a favorable trade for them.
Looks like Ziggs is hovering around the mid lane, possibly looking for engage here on Nightmare, but does back off. Lightly Moist Sock is now clearing out vision, looking for an opportunity to go on the Nightmare. Does not throw the Q, and he does get snared and then poked out by Nightmare, and now be forced to reset here. We see a collapse happening in the top lane as Batman initiates the Katori with Chef and Feathers to follow up.
Yeah, Katori is in a really tough position at this point too. Yes, very bulky, but there's just not enough damage. I mean, you got Feathers and Batman frontlining, and Chef just free shooting at Katori the entire time. Katori goes down yet again. Kind of an interesting game for Katori too, because you think that this Tahm Kench would be able to get a lot of stacks, but I think if you look at the Hearthstone stacks, not quite enough. Solar Flare does connect here, and Reckoning just gets completely blown up from the bullet time and the Nightmare as well. Ziggy is running out to safety. You can tell Monkey's Master Chef definitely wants a game number 3 here. Let's see if they can do it or not, but that's a lot of good sequence kills for them. And now, are they going for Baron here? They might be. Yeah, it looks like they're going to go for this early Baron right under 30-minute mark. Well, early for these days, I guess. Old Baron, this might be a different story. But I like this aggression there, too. You don't got the ADC up, and Ziggy might be able to go for another hero steal, though, just like last game towards the end. Blast Cone is available. You can see Lightly Moist Sock going to maybe try to help out here too. We get Pink Penguin actually going to try to stun up, but no, it looks like Batman is going to get that and does go for the Impale as well. Lightly Moist Sock goes down. Efron is caught in a really tough position as Mel, and we get the shutdown going over to Feathers. Solar Flare does come through, doesn't actually land on Ziggy, but Ziggy is dead yet again. A double kill now going over to Feathers, and they still have Voracious Otacon they could take right here and then, and I don't think TPO wants any business in this fight.
It's unfortunate for TPO. They had a decent setup. The idea and execution were pretty fine too. Mumu goes in with the Q and pops the ult, stuns everybody to give Wukong the opportunity to smite steal it. Unfortunately, though, they were not able to get the timing on that correctly, putting them in a disadvantaged position, allowing MKM to go ahead and kill them, and creating the opportunity for them to take the Baron, and then pivoting off of that to get the Voracious Atacon. So now 31 minutes into the game, the score is 18-11 with a near 4,000 gold advantage in favor of Monkey Master Chefs.
This is really scary for TPO because not only do they have Baron buff, but they also have Voracious Otacon buff. So, presumably Monkey's Master Chef will probably dive their turrets and try to get as much value as possible. Just play super aggressive. And with the Baron buff too, it's going to make this push even easier for them. On top of that, they're also on Soul Point. So they might even just go straight for this Drake and get Dragon Soul here, Infernal Soul, which would be really strong for them as well. You can see the gold lead starting to balloon over to the side of Monkey Master Chef. 4K differential at this point too. They're in this bush. Does TPO sense it? We actually have Chef J actually maybe exposing him a bit, but we get the stun on top of Tahm Kench. That's totally fine. We get Curtain's Call coming through from the Jhin, but Batman going to tank a lot of these bullets, but the bullets are starting to add up quite a bit. Ziggy actually comes through as well for the fights. Lightly Moist Sock is actually forced to flash out here too. They have their backs against the wall, and let's not forget, this is Voracious Otacon, so even if they die in this fight for Monkey Master Chef, it's not even a problem. Lightly Moist Sock does go down to Feathers, and here comes the Impale. I don't think it really lands too much. Oh, but the bullet time connects, and the Tahm Kench does go down. Another kill over to the side of Feathers, and we do get the withdrawal coming through, but that's okay too. No members actually dying on the side of Monkey Master Chef, and we see Misfortune actually taking the Drake by herself. Meanwhile, they're going to push their advantage here to Batman and Feathers. Such a strong tanky front line. Nightmare finally goes down in that situation, but they're getting a lot of value, and this is surely going to be Infernal Soul for them as well.
Absolutely, they played very aggressively. We now see the score 21-11 with a 5,000 gold advantage in the favor of Monkey K, or Monkey's Master Chief MKM. I keep butchering that, Lord knows why, but they are able to get that Infernal Soul, giving them a significant chunk of damage in future team fights. So they have been able to increase their gold advantage by 1,000. They got themselves the Dragon Soul, and they have managed to take another tower, therefore elevating the game state and making it easier for them to close out.
Remember I said this was a really close game maybe like 15 minutes ago and the score was 11-11? It's now 21-11. So TPO actually hasn't picked up a single kill in quite some time for their squad, and I'm trying to figure out what's, you know, the biggest issue here too. I think part of it is just the tankiness of the side of MKM, right? Because you got Jin, which is not the best at dealing with tanks, right? Especially if you're not like super far ahead, just because you just don't have that shred power like a lot of other ADCs. And yes, you have Mel, but that's about it, you know? Like, you have a lot of frontline from Tom Kench and Lightly Moist Sock, but this is a Mumu that's only level 12, so, you know, definitely doesn't have the stats to, you know, check like a typical Mumu does in the jungle. But I think that's one of the bigger issues is you just can't kill the front line of MKM very easy with TPO, and because of that, you got Misfortune, you got Hui in the back just dishing out all this damage and just shredding your front line, and then eventually your back line, and you either have to back off and run away, or you just die with them, right? And I think that's why Efron's main strategy is, you know what, I'm not going to die with my front line, so I'm just going to back off here because I really can't do much by myself without that front line. So we're going to see if TPO can hold off some of this fight or not, but the Baron buff has gone down. However, you have Infernal Drake Soul given over instead, so I don't know if that's really better or worse for TPO, but either way, they're not in the best spot right now.
Well, I have to disagree with the synopsis. I think that the biggest problem here is really just the ease of execution for the strategy. It's not about how much frontline you have. It's about how easy can your comp play and what are your weak links. And in Monkey Master Chief's situation right now, they don't really have any weak links. They have MF and Hui who are doing a lot of damage. They have Urgot, who's also a really strong front to back champion, so they can play this front to back. They can play this kind of dive wombo combo initiation comp with Skarner and Leona, and the composition is really easy to set off. Several of their champions can initiate the type of team comp they want, or the type of team fight they want, and the rest of the team can follow up. It's very consistent. It's easy to understand. People know their positions. Whereas in the favor of, or in the sense of TPO, their team fight isn't as straightforward. And even though a Mumu wants to be the initiation and go in, he needs to try to land on the back line because he has to play front to back. And if there's somebody bulky in front of him, he's not going to be able to reach the target.
Speaking of targets too, Ping Penguin does go down to Efron as well. So early fight play, huge bullet time. Doesn't actually take anyone down, but does really chunk down the health. And we get the Urgot ultimate as well to take out Tom Kench. Just Urgot on feathers is absolutely disgusting right now, doing so much damage and still at full health too. We get a double kill for Chef J as well. Efron, the only member remaining on the side of TPO, and you got full forces from MKM still beating down this middle inhibitor tower. They're going to get the middle inhibitor for sure, and they might just end the game right here. There's still about 20 plus seconds for every member on the side of TPO, and Mel might be busted, but she's not that busted to be able to hold off all of these members, but could actually thin the wave a bit to make this a little bit interesting. However, Batman just tanking this damage. They're just going for the turfs. They're just going for the game. They're going for game number 3 here. Mel doing everything he can. Does shut down Nightmare on this wave, but I don't think she can hold down this damage fast enough. They're just ignoring her at this point too. Just going to will this down, and the Mumu cannot rescue in time. Game number 2 goes over to Monkey's Master Chef, and we're going to game number 3.
This is going to be the first in game number 3 that we've had with this bracket. Well done, Monkey Master Chefs. You were certainly cooking up something that game, and that was a far more decisive victory than we saw in game 1. We could see Monkey Master Chef coming back to reverse sweep and take the series, as they now hold the momentum. If I am TPO, I might be thinking a little bit stressed now that we have lost our foothold and the game is up to, well, anybody's at this point.
Yeah, and we did say too, TPO is a slight underdog in this specific matchup, but I think overall they're still pretty even across the board. So based on how these two games went, I think it definitely is the case. Game one was definitely a little bit closer, but still another 35 plus minute game, 37 minutes for this game as well. It definitely looked a lot more one-sided for MKM towards the middle half to late game, but TPO still try to contest as many objections as possible to make it a hard time. But we have top damage actually from Mel, so Mel definitely putting up the damage, but just not enough. I mean, the health on the front line from MKM was just kind of nasty. So anyway, we got game number 3 here, first of the broadcast for this season of Divinity League. It should be a banger of a game 3, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Titan Esports. We're here, week number 4 of Divinity League, heading into game number 3 of TPO versus Monkeys Masterchef. And tonight, it's been a banger. So if you have just joined in here, we have a game number 3 for y'all. Like I said, first game, over 40 minutes. Second game, 37 minutes as well. Really back and forth from both teams. And I'm joined here by the one and only Professor Malice. And I got to ask you, Professor Malice, what's up with the want to marry Nico here? We had a little kiss, marry, kill situation, and at least we're not fighting for the same kind of person, right?
I got a story, and a lot of that story has to be with Sivir. She was immediately ruled out for me. I will say I think it's a phenomenal skin, but I've got some history. My ex-fiance looks a lot like Sivir, so I can't be kissing on it, can't be marrying it. Please, one default for that. When it comes to Diana and Nico, that Nico just looks a lot more friendly. I want somebody peaceful. I want somebody loving. And Diana just looks like a dominatrix to me. So I don't know if that's going to be quite the kind and loving relationship that I want. It sounds like an exciting one. So, a kiss up and mac on that. But that's probably not what I want for long-term stability. That's my thoughts on it. What about you?
Yeah, I don't think I don't have any exes that look necessarily like Sivir, so I'm not particularly tied to it. But she seemed a little bit more stable than Diana. The thing with Nico is, I feel like she could accidentally, sneak up on me as Mordekaiser or Aatrox and spook me out, and I might just point the gun over to the Nico then and there. So might as well just not worry about that problem down the road. But it seems like me and War Ego at least have similar thought processes in that respect. But it looks like I'm the only one out of our production staff that is looking to marry Sivir, which, you know what? It's fine with me. No competition is totally fine. But anyway, speaking of competition, we have an exciting match coming up. Our first game 3 actually on the broadcast of this season for Divinity League. Obviously, there were game 3s that happened off broadcast, but these were the respective bans from last draft. And oh no, this graphic's a little bit different. But anyway,
this is even the correct chance for the last one. Yeah, the last game.
We haven't really seen the Aurora or Jinx yet, so it might be a slight graphical error, but that's okay. For a reminder for anyone that's joining in for the first time or for Divinity League this season, it is a fearless draft. So any champs that were picked from either teams from the first 2 games are not eligible for game number 3. For any of the games, actually, but especially game number 3. This is where we really see the different team comps probably shine through, because that means that on top of the 10 bans that's already going to be happening in game number 3, there's essentially 20 other bans that are in place. So 30 champs banned out of the champ pool, and we're going to really have to see how deep these players are in their champ mastery here.
Well, they had a significant noticeable picks that are no longer in the game. There's going to be no Mel, there'll be no Victor, there'll be no Skarner, no Wukong, no Amumu, no Ashe. Jinx can still get through, but she's been banned every game.
Banned.
No MF, no Leona, no Rel, no Skarner. It's no Zac, no Orin, no Jarvan, no Orianna.
No Kai'Sa, no Jhin. It's gonna be interesting, even from an ADC standpoint, because Both teams have been banning a decent amount of ADCs in these respective drafts. I would love to see a Reliant Soul game, but I think I might be hoping a little too much here. I do think that maybe a Smolder pickup could be good. Both teams kind of play a little bit on the slower end, and these games have been dragged out quite a bit. So a Smolder ADC, maybe even a Smolder mid might be interesting here. As we see, the similar bans from first 2 games are being replicated. If my predictions are correct, I think it's Alawi and Caitlyn could be banned out, and then
As the Alawi.
yeah, who's the six ban? I remember it was always the same thing.
Jinx.
Oh, Jinx.
Jinx.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Jinx and Caitlyn might be banned here. If that's the case, our ADC choices are definitely going to be on the limited side. Could see a Xayah come out though. Xayah and Rakan have not made an appearance yet, and if one of these players has a Xayah up their sleeves, that could be good. Yeah, we see the exact same
See a
6
Mordekaiser.
bans in the same exact order. Oh, Mordekaiser could be good.
He likes to sneak up on you. He showed up in the last graphic too. You didn't notice, but he's coming after you. Coming after you, Caleb.
Oh,
Wait.
okay,
Okay, that can't be right. No, that can't be right. We already saw Hwei.
Yeah.
So is that a graphical error, or did they make
Yeah,
make a
my guess
mistake
is,
with the draft?
It's going to be a graphical error, so we'll keep,
yeah, okay. Yep,
you all
and
updated
there's
on
the
that.
moo. This is absolutely a graphical error.
But I don't think TPO wants to run that necessarily comp back into Monkey's Masterchef. And it looks like we did actually switch sides here, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because TPO
we did.
is going to be on blue side and MKM is going to be on red side. Assuming that the graphical errors of the picks are maybe not fully correct, so we'll get that updated. Maybe
Those picks are absolutely not correct. It's the same as last game. We see the Jin and the
yeah, so the bans might be slightly different too, but we'll keep you all updated on that. But I guess from your standpoint, Professor Malice, what are the 2 ADCs that you think probably should be hotly contested for this final game, assuming that the Caitlyn, Twitch, and Jinx bans are going to continue into this 3rd game?
I would probably say Sivir, Xayah, and Varus. And I say it for a few reasons. Varus is one of the other top hot picks as ADCs right now. Corki is actually another one that might be contested. But I'm suggesting Sivir, as both of these teams have been successful with wombo combo compositions, and Sivir is really strong in a team fight right now. Xayah is a similar pick, although Xayah is more of a counter pick into dive heavy compositions. And so if you're trying to play that front to back, she will be successful. But if you're trying to deal with another front to back comp, she is at a disadvantage because of her range, and the opposing team doesn't want to dive into her, which makes it a lot harder to get her kit off or maximize the damage on her. Vayne might also be an interesting pick, as there are fewer long-range threats against the Vayne, making her a lot more viable for this game 3. But it's anybody's guess as to what they break out. We might see Lux or some other APCs in the bot lane instead of an ADC. And if we do continue with the trend of dive-heavy supports, although we don't have Rel, we don't have Leona, and we don't have a Mumu now, we still have Nautilus and Alistar. We might be able to see a Samira who would also follow that same trend of these big AoE team fights. And with as nasty as they get, Samira could have a lot of value.
Yeah, Samira Nautilus is definitely a lane you kind of have to respect here. Even Pantheon might be a pickup too. Definitely a kill lane if you have a Pantheon support in those situations. What are your thoughts on Ezreal? We haven't really seen much Ezreal in the Divinity League, at least on broadcast. Definitely a very high skill champion, but could be pretty good, I think, if someone has that in their up their sleeve.
I think Ezreal is it's a safe pick. It's a decent poke pick, but I think that in lower elo games he loses his efficiency. He's not going to be able to consistently get his combo off as he would in higher level or with more skilled players or players who have played him a lot. So if you don't have somebody who's played a lot of Ezreal, I don't think it's going to give you the value that you're looking for. Now, with these games, there's a concept called maximize, minimize. It's something that everybody's trying to do, and that is to simultaneously maximize their goal while minimizing your opponent. And I teach a lot of my early level players to, if they can't do both, focus on prioritizing one. And Ezreal would be a good way to deny gold to your opponents because of how safe he is, which might be good if you have a scaling composition. That said, I don't think Ezreal is going to be the powerhouse play. I would argue that if you wanted to play Ezreal, you might as well play Lucian because he has a similar mobility, a lot easier kit to pull off, and higher burst, which will be more effective at this elo.
Yeah, Lucian Nami is definitely a really strong lane, but we do have an update on this too. Unfortunately, we don't have a full graphic maybe for you all on screen, but this is what the draft is going to look like. So for TPO, they got a Caitlyn, a Shinzao, Nautilus, a Nivea, and Darius. Definitely first Darius I think we've seen on broadcast too, and probably a Nivea as well. And then on the side of Monkey's Master Chef, we have the Varus, like you predicted, Maokai jungle, I would assume, Vagar in the mid lane, Braum, and Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath top is interesting too. I'm a big fan of Cho'Gath in general, but the late game potential for Monkey's Master Chef looks really strong, and they really just had to really survive that early game, right? The stacking from Vagar, the stacking from Cho'Gath, Maokai gets stupid scary in the late game as well, and just very bulky too. So going to be an interesting draft to see how both teams play it out. A lot of the bans were kind of similar too, but they did let Caitlyn go through, and Caitlyn did for sure get picked up. So that range definitely makes laning pretty interesting, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, and here we get the graphic as well too. We see most of the bans as well on how the bans are played out. Most of the bans are pretty similar. Oh, we actually did see the Ezreal ban actually, but Caitlyn obviously snuck through because of that.
You know, I don't really like the Caitlyn pick here. Early in season 25, I thought Caitlyn was going to be good. I think a lot of people did, but it has seemed to underperform. But it is stronger in lower elos than it is in higher elos. I feel like Caitlyn lacks a lot of the damage that TPO would have wanted against Monkey Masterchef. That said, TPO has a phenomenal draft with the rest of their comp. Xin Zhao is a great powerhouse, good dive ability or good dive options, is able to peel and engage. Nautilus is a strong engager. Anivia wants to play front to back and is able to get a lot of AoE damage off, which will be phenomenal against Maokai, Braum, and Cho'Gath. And then Darius is a good bruiser to pick into bulky tanks like Cho'Gath or like Maokai, who want to fight in that close quarters. And Maokai's Q can't really knock away Darius at a bad range. And you know, I'm gonna say TPO is probably gonna be the team that takes this game 3. That's my guess. I think they just have the better draft all the way around. Now, this being as close as tense as these games have been in the past, this could be a long game, and we could see Cho'Gath and Vagar run away with it. I don't think the HP on Cho'Gath is going to be a threat, but the burst damage from Vagar absolutely can be, and I wouldn't count Monkey Master Chief out of this game, but my money's on TPO. I think they take this.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with the Monkey's Master Chef anyway. I was actually going to favor them before you even said anything, but this definitely makes it interesting as well. I mean, we saw a lot of objectives being stolen in that first game, not as much in that second game, but Cho'Gath with that ultimate is essentially another smite on top of it, so a lot more securing power for Monkey's Master Chef. Man, there's a lot of M's in those names. But we're going to get ready for this game pretty soon and see how it goes. Obviously, these games have been going on quite a while, so the longer they drag on, it's definitely going to be more favorable for Monkey's Master Chef. But they're probably, my guess is going to be diving on top of that Vagar as soon as they can to really mitigate some of that damage. A lot of tanks again, too. Both teams like to play these tanky front lines and just have a lot of front-to-back comps, which I'm a fan of. I like, makes the fights a lot more exciting.
This is a good time to bring in our sponsors, the mobile game Battlefield Tanks, I think is what it's called. I'm making a joke here. They're not a sponsor, but they could be if they want to be. If somebody knows them, give me their number. I'll reach out there. There are so many tanks in our game. There's a ton of puns. It's just perfect. Really, please.
Definitely. And this will be the first time that we're seeing TPO not playing one of these Heartsteel stacking champions. A lot more damage coming out from Darius too. And Darius, I know a lot of my top lane focused friends, top mains hate playing into Darius. But I think Cho'Gath can probably hang a bit in the right situations.
Cho'Gath, if he positions well and doesn't try to contest the Darius, he will survive just fine. But if he gets up and close, Darius is going to initiate level 1. He's going to look for those level 1 trades with his passive. He's going to get ahead, and he's going to snowball the game. Darius is great into other tanks, most other tanks and most other bruisers. He's one of the biggest lane bullies in the game, and as an educator, I don't approve of bullies, but this time it's against a Cho'Gath, so I think it's okay.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at these two comps too, we got a Varus on the Monkeys Master Chef side. Would you say that this Varus is probably going to go more AD composition, or you think it's going to be more lethality? Okay, it looks like based on the runes, it's going to be more AD focus, which I think is definitely the right call into the tankier options of TPO. But they have a lot of tanks too, so I think lethality could have also been an option.
No, no, no. You don't take lethality against the tanks. Lethality is what you take against a squishier composition.
Sure.
Lethality
Yeah,
is flat damage reduction. And so when you need sustained damage, which is typically the approach you take against these tanks, you're going to take that on-hit effect from Varus. So we'll be seeing, I don't remember exactly what the on-hit build is, but we'll be seeing several on-hit items into Gwynsu's Rage Blade, whatever that build path is for Varus.
Yeah. I think I was just thinking more so like because TPO doesn't have a lot of traditional tanks outside that Nautilus, right? It might not be the worst option, but I do agree. I think for that more consistent damage, especially late game, you definitely want Varus not going that lethality build. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. Ziggy actually might be caught in a slightly tough position here. Let's see if Pink Penguin is going to go for the engage or not. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Slightly moist sock playing the very heavy engage supports per usual, and we'll see if he's able to pull off some good engages in this bot lane or not too. Out of this bot lane though, who do you favor more? Because I think the Braum shield is definitely going to be pretty crucial to negate a lot of this damage.
My favorite, I think Monkey Master Chief has the better bot lane.
Yeah. Going to be a
By
little poke
far.
here, but nothing too crazy here. I mean, a good Nautilus hook can change things, but I think both teams are going to play around the minion wave pretty well.
Well, when you think about it, Nautilus wants to go in, Braum wants to disengage. And so it's almost like a rock, paper, scissors matchup. Braum is the advantage in the scenario. Now, if his goal is to protect, he can always protect his ADC.
Yeah, we get the hook come through. The stun is going to proc on top of that Nautilus. Health bars actually quite low, especially Chef J's health bars. Reckoning doing a great job of poking too, and the Q lands as well. There's a brutal laning phase so far for MKM in this bot lane. Not the team hitting that level 2 quite yet, but I'm sure that they're probably going to take a more aggressive position once that happens. And Cho'Gath just can only just harass from afar here too. Don't really want to go too close into Darius, especially in these early levels.
Darius up by 8 minions right now. We see great trading from Reckoning onto both Chef and Pink Pongwon. That is such an interesting name to say. Pongwin? Pang?
Penguin. Yeah, but that yeah. doing what they can to Pwn, but this lane is looking more on the Pwners side for the side of TPO. But like we said, this is game number 3, so winner of this will be adding a little bit more points to their standings here. But it's been a really close series between both teams, so big shout out to both of them too for going through these grueling long games back and forth.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's probably going to affect this game is going to be player stamina. Who is able to maintain the best of their ability over the course of the series? And this is because player skill is a spectrum. And so, any player can play within probably 200 points of their current rank, either below or above at any given moment. And the more tired they go on, the longer the series go, the higher the likelihood that they're going to start performing slightly under than what they usually would do in a good condition. Your ability to train your conditioning and maintain your cognitive abilities in long series ends up being a serious advantage. And so you see simpler comps sometimes being utilized in large matches to give teams a sense of a reset. And I'll say right now, like looking at the compositions on the map, TPO in my mind has one of the simplest comps to play. Caitlyn has range advantage. Her job is to poke. Nautilus lands the hook. Anivia just plays front to back and farms up her mana. And then Darius does Darius things.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, we get the hook come through too. Pretty aggressive from lightly moist sock, and does get stunned up there. The damage was not there from Reckoning just yet, but Reckoning is level 4. Both of them are actually level 4 too, and just not enough mana from Chef to do much in this situation. So, I mean, we can always count lightly moist sock to go for aggressive engage, even if he is by himself. Goes in for another hook too. Now roots the Braum, and Braum is now ignited as well. I think we'll just get out of there with a sliver of health, but this is really good though for TPO because they'll probably be able to crash this wave, and Chef J is just out of mana as well to do much, and might even get a plate or two in the process here. Reckoning not enough mana to throw another Piltover Peacemaker to slow the back there, but looking so far really good bot lane situation for TPO in the early game, and already a 10 CS lead over Chef J's Varus.
We see with the zoning, they're able to take these efficient trades against Braum and Varus, allowing them to essentially take the CS and make Varus have to consider trading HP for minions. And when he chooses not to do that, Caitlyn's going to get a CS advantage. We're now looking at, almost 6 minutes into the game, and the scoreboard is relatively the same with about 100 gold in the favor of TPO.
All right, and we get a small slowing of the backs there from Efron. Batman looking like going to go for a gank here on Efron on this Anivia. Crystallize does come through thinking that the Veigar was going to be in bad position, but it's actually quite the opposite. Efron does have that passive though, so should be able to get out pretty easily, especially with Lightly Moisak roaming here too. I believe they're going to be roaming for these grubs, as this is going to be started off from Ziggy and Katori already. They do have good prio on these, at least on the top lane here too, and it looks like MKM is just going to give up these grubs there, opting to just push the wave in mid side and probably just positioning for this bottom Cloud Drake instead. They do have the wave pushing down pretty far there too, so I think they're just going to trade objective for objective, and I don't think TPO is going to contest here.
I want to see League of Legends come out with a Clout Drake skin for Cloud Drake. He'll have a move called Skibbity Riz, and he will be there with some nice shades. I think it would be a funny moment that has yet to be capitalized on. We do see Monkey Master Chief being able to secure that Drake. They go for an objective trade. The objectives go off, one to each side, so 3 grubs in favor of TPO, and the Clout Drake going to Monkey Master Chefs.
All right. And going to just trade objective for objective. No first blood yet so far. Just like that first game, and maybe even second game to a degree. Going to be a little bit slower one. So I think we're well on our way to another voracious Otacon. Lightning Moist Sock positioned pretty well here too. I don't think they have vision. Pink Penguin is going to walk in here. Does get rooted. Doesn't even spend the hook there too, knowing that they're not really going to go for that kill right then and there, but just trying to push him out of that bush so far. Katori already a level up on the top of this Cho'Gath, but Cho'Gath does scale pretty strong in the late game too, and I think Feathers is just playing this as well as he can, right? Knowing the strength of Darius in that early game too. And now you're going to feast up as well too, starting to stack up that size of Cho'Gath till it's halfway covering your screen here, and we do love to see that. Oh, another great hook from Lightly Moist Sock. Ziggy just goes straight in here. We get first blood going over to Ziggy right away. Pink Penguin is going to go down, and this bot lane is not getting any easier for Chef J. Let's see if they go for a dive here on Chef J or not. They are going to go for the dive here, and Xin Zhao goes in. Her aggro is going to be on Lightly Moist Sock, comes out with just a sliver of health, and the Piltover Peacemaker is going to secure that kill for Reckoning. But it looks like Ziggy is going to go down, so a slight trade 1-for-1 after that Braum goes down. But overall, still a better pickup with 2 actually really going down for the side of MKM.
TPO.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Nightmare. No, Nightmare coming in, going in on Reckoning, able to catch Reckoning with the shield, but Reckoning flashes out of the wall, is able to get out of it.
Yeah, good a reaction time from Reckoning as well too. The E as well, landing and getting that headshot before pushing himself to safety. Fortunately, not getting a ton of value out of that roam. I guess you did get the Caitlyn flash at least, but Nightmare just going to be a little bit behind CS on this Anivia. Anivia, meanwhile, just resetting at this point in time. But Reckoning so far having a really great laning phase. Let's see if he could keep it up, or if MKM is going to find a way around it. But the priority from Ziggy to recognizing how strong they are in bot side is going to be pretty nice for them.
Oh, it was a phenomenal play they had on the bot side. It wasn't just getting 2 kills for 1. They crashed a huge wave into the tower, denying Chef 1 a lot of CS. We could see it's an 8 CS lead. They got some plates on Reckoning, and if we look at the scoreboard right now, it's only 2-1 in favor of TPO, but there is a 1,500 gold disadvantage, or gold advantage in favor of TPO. That is the equivalent of 4 more kills on the scoreboard. Essentially, it'd be like it was 6-1 right now if we were to base it off of gold differentials. And so TPO was able to get an immense amount of value out of that bot side gank.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're going to be they're going to continue pushing their advantage in this bot side here too. We're going to see how Batman's going to respond. I think Batman might just going to prio this top side instead here. But Katori's not easy to kill either, and it looks like Feathers is going to go for a reset right here. And you know, MKM really wants to contest these scrubs because they really don't want to give over 6 scrubs over to the side of TPO, especially because MKM has the more late game team composition. You really don't want 6 scrubs on the posting side so they can just push down your objectives even further. But Batman does get caught out here. The Blast Cone does get him to safety, actually. Really good Blast Cone, actually. And now Ziggy actually is going to get stunned up from Nightmare. Here comes the Nature's Grasp as well. And Ziggy does almost go down, finally goes down to the Glacial Fissure here, but the rest of TPO is here to meet, and Katori picks up a kill, and I think they might just go for these scrubs at this point too. Both junglers down.
You sense the feat of warfare over to TPO as they are now 4-2, able to pick off another advantage from that fight.
All right. Looks like no, they're actually going to opt not to go for this. Going for maybe some additional harassment on top of Feathers here. Maybe just waiting for the jungler to spawn back up. They're pretty patient with this, and they know that they have a sizable gold advantage. And again, their early composition is already just stronger as a whole. So they feel pretty confident just delaying this a bit. And looks like, unfortunately, 6 scrubs is going to go over to side TPO, regardless of how MKM feels about the matter or not. They're going to try to find some type of advantage here, but Reckoning just has such good, range and just, self-peel too. It's just not an easy target kill. I think they're just going to settle for a Drake instead, as 6 scrubs are heading over to the side of TPO.
Looking at bot lane, Pink Penguin and Batman are hovering around, but they are now positioning back towards the Dragon. Ziggy by Efron may be looking to contest a Drake. Walking through his own jungle, cautiously hugging his wall, afraid that he might get engaged upon, like he does here.
Oh, and Ziggy gets caught here. Does Ziggy go down right away or not? And yes, Ziggy does go down. Nightmare is going to take the kill. This is definitely the kill that MKM needs to have a shot here. As lightly, Moisaki is also getting caught out, and Nautilus just will not be able to do enough damage. Efron on the Anivia has to be careful, does avoid the cage from Veigar, and it's just going to constantly try to slow down. The Crystallize is actually pretty nice to zone off the enemy team and slow things down. Reckoning is also here, but might have gotten a little too greedy with it. Has no cleanse, no flash either, and is no longer alive. Going to be giving over another kill to Nightmare. Definitely going to be good for them, and things are having swings things quite a bit around. The Glacial Fissure does not connect on top of the Anivia. The Nature's Grasp will, though. 2 ultimates spent on an Anivia. Is it going to be worth it? I think it might be. The passive is going to come through. No saving this Anivia. They pick up another kill, but in this time period, Ziggy has come back up as well, and I don't think he's going to contest this Drake. So definitely the fights that MKM is looking for. Some missed ultimates here or there, but they get the job done, and they don't really lose any members in the process either.
Score is now 4-6 in favor of MKM, with a gold differential of about 500 still in favor of TPO. Monkey Masterchef are able to secure that second Drake, getting the Earth Drake and an additional 5% armor and magic resistance sent over to their team.
And honestly, this back and forth in Game 3 is not surprising to me at all. Both teams just playing really close. We get another hook landing on top of Pink Penguin, but Pink Penguin is not going to be dissuaded by it. Ziggy actually goes for the initiation, trying to pick off Chef J, but Chef J is going to get the reinforcement. Batman is going to go down, though, sacrificing for the team. TPO pretty content on that kill, and it's probably going to just back off at this point in time too. Chef J, I feel like always just unfortunately low on mana this game on that Varus. Maybe just trying to get as much CS as possible with that Q, but just not having enough for these crucial fights. Crystallize is going to zone off Nightmare here too. I think both mid laners are just going to go for a little CS back and forth, nothing too crazy.
Great counter gauge from Ziggy there. He's now looking to take his top side quadrant as he tries to put himself back onto dead time. He is currently taking the blue buff. Katori is dancing around the Cho'Gath, waiting for them to walk out to the outer edge of the turret range so they can pull him away and get a trade. And instead, he is going back around to priority, or to, what is it? Proxy the wave. That's the
Yeah,
word.
Chef. No, you're totally fine. Chef J definitely has to be a little bit careful there as we get a cage onto Efron, but Efron has a lot of utility to self-peel there, but Efron's passive is down, so has to be a little bit careful. Meanwhile, Cho'Gath getting a little bit bigger now, and that could be scary in the late game, but early game, it's still definitely more in favor of TPO. As you can see, they have about a little under a 2K gold lead. However, like we said, the later this game goes on, it could be not so great. And Nightmare on this Veigar is 2-0-5, so a lot of gold on this Veigar, which is definitely going to be good. Looking for a gank here on Feathers. Katori does go in. Ziggy is here to help as well, but Cho'Gath is not easy to take out here. Has a lot of options to peel here. Oh, and does get the kill from Katori. It wasn't going to be the Noxian guillotine, but the auto afterward is enough to secure that kill. And that's 2-0 for this Darius so far, as TPO is looking to snowball some of this lead over. The Rift Herald is spawning soon, and if they can continue pushing these turrets down, this definitely could really speed up the process of the game and prevent MKM from going into that late game potential.
Kind of surprised that Darius did not go and continue pushing in the tower after taking out that Cho'Gath there. He had a window to do so, and looked like the Rift Herald wasn't going to be up anytime soon. But, you know, that's the way that it goes. Reckoning was able to get the first tower blood in the bot lane, giving the feats over to Team TPO. And now there is a lane swap. They're going to be shifting Nivea probably to the bot side here, or maybe even to the top side, as bot lane takes over the mid side, or I guess the middle lane here, where Reckoning and Lightning Moisak are trying to siege the mid lane tower.
Definitely, and I think this lane swap for Nightmare going topside. Well, before we talk about that, we get another hook through on Pink Penguin. Is there damage enough here? Reckoning is trying to help out, but there's two other members right behind Pink Penguin, not going to be able to get that kill. But as I was saying, Nightmare does go into that top side, which makes it a little bit easier to stack on this Darius and probably alleviate some of this pressure for Feathers as well, to Feathers not be able to 1v1 there very easily. But I don't know if Feathers is going to have a great time into this Nivea either. That's also going to be a lot of damage that is going to be going through. It looks like Feathers is actually not going for hard steal this game on Cho'Gath. That Cho'Gath is still going to be able to put on quite a bit of health just from the ultimate of Beast, but going for that Hollow Radiance instead.
Something surprisingly interesting to me is the item that Feathers takes. He doesn't take Sunfire. He takes the one with the magic resistance, which is curious because he's going against Darius. Well, yeah, it's just a Nivea, and he's laning against Darius. So what's the magic resistance really for? How often is he going to be going against somebody that's dealing that damage to him? And he's got so much HP that Anivia is not going to be able to hurt him until he gets Leandri's, which, you know, wasn't the first item that Anivia built. So, you know, it's a very curious choice.
It is. Maybe Feathers is making the 5-head move and just predicting that Anivia will be in his lane. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Sunfire would have been a little bit more beneficial here, maybe even Unending Despair to a degree. But either way, we'll see how that goes in the late game. But maybe Feathers just doesn't want Anivia to be able to chunk him down later. I mean, Leandri's on Nivea is probably one of the bigger threats for Cho'Gath in this late game because he's just going to have so much health for everything else to kind of chew through. But speaking of chewing through here, it looks like Lightly Moisak is going to continue on with the dredge lines. I feel like Lightly Moisak's like, if I could hook him, I'm going to hook him. And, you know, has paid off okay so far. Glacial Fisher hits no one, unfortunately, for Pink Penguin. Is going to have to back off a bit as we have all 5 members here from TPO going for this fight. The Nature Scraps is going to come through. This is going to be a full 5-on-5 team fight. Nala stunned up under the cage, but it's going to take a lot of damage. Chef J is going to pick up the kill on Nala. The first one to go down. However, Katori goes down afterward to Feathers. Feathers shutting down. That's going to be a big pickup for the side of MKM. And now the front line is looking a little bit thin for the side of TPO. Ziggy is here, but no ultimate up to really continue this fight. And looks like MKM going for another Drake. This will put them at soul points if they secure this. We do have the Rift Hero dropping in the middle side here. Let's see if Ziggy could go for a hero steal or not, but I think no. His option is just going for some of this jungle farm, as we have 3 Drakes now going over to the side of MKM, and Ocean Soul could be pretty annoying to deal with later on.
I think Ziggy makes the right call there. You know, it's not as easy to get a hero steal as Xin Zhao as it is on Wukong or Zac or Jarvan, who all have great ways to get in. And so understanding that the probability of success is pretty low, he decides to optimize his clear path, try to go get some more gold, and think about the next play. And we can see this as he is 30 CS ahead of his counterpart Batman, while still having a comparable amount of kill participation, with Jin Zhao at 6 kill participation and Batman at 7. The score is 6-8 in favor of Monkey Master Chief, but the goal differential is still 2,000 in the favor of TPO. Despite being under by 2 kills, they are significantly ahead in gold, and this is because they have 3 towers and a CS lead and 3 lanes almost. Yes, yeah, in 3 lanes. Their jungle, their mid lane, and their ADC are all notably ahead in CS, and that we can see that leads to a substantial goal differential. The kills do not reflect which team is ahead right now.
Yeah, it looks like we have yet again another voracious Otacon spawning, so that's going to be pretty interesting, especially in that mid to late game, to see who secures that. Something I kind of wish that Ziggy did in that last team fight is maybe drop the Rift Herald right when it started, right? So push additional pressure on the turrets and objectives. I don't know if that changes the outcome of the fight, but might have been a little bit better because you saw him actually drop it when they're going for the Drake there instead. But not able to distract as much. Reckoning gets poked out quite a bit. Does land the ultimate on Chef J, but not enough damage. Glacial Fisher actually catches both the Nautilus and the Xin Zhao, but no members actually dying on either side. Just the ultimate is used on both ends here. You see Nightmare trying to pick up a kill on Ziggy. Can the damage be enough? I don't think so at this point in time. Going to go for a reset here and fight another day.
Sorry, about to get collapsed on by Batman and Pink Penguin. Might be able to find life by escaping through the lane, but we do see Nightmare cutting him off. Does not land the stun. Now Katori's on type of Nightmare. We're going to see a bit of an Uno reverse card. Nope, he does decide to just call it off and make his break.
Yeah, that was the most aggressive Veigar I've seen in a while, but feeling good about himself there too. Doesn't land the cage, but feels pretty confident with the rest of the team backing him up too. This Veigar is getting stacked up quite a bit here too. I don't know if we are able to see the stacks on the Veigar, but either way, the passive is going to make it kind of interesting. 209 stacks so far, and yeah, this could be scary in the late game too, especially if you could get on top of that Caitlyn early, right, and just just burst it out instantly. That will probably change the tide of a lot of fights right then and there. But as you can see, Nightmare feeling pretty comfortable on this pick and just going to continue stacking here. Meanwhile, we see some of the vision being cleared up here, but nothing too crazy. Pink Penguin might be caught out here a bit, but hard to say. Ooh, actually Nightmare getting chunked quite a bit. Hook does not land though from Lightly Moist Sock.
Right, teams are currently hovering around the Atacon. Caitlyn is shoving out the lane to try to get more vision. We see Ziggy hovering by taking his golems. And Lightly Moist Sock sitting in the river. Whereas on the red team, Batman is on his blue buff. Nightmare is collecting the bot side, and Pink Penguin and Chef are both in the mid side.
Yeah, Otacon is here, but as anyone that's played League this season knows, Otacon is not the easiest objective to take out, and you could lose quite a bit of health. Especially for Voracious Otacon, like if you lose that to the enemy team, it could spell disaster, as we saw from that first game against these two teams here. But I don't know. I think even though the gold lead is on the side of TPO, right, and they have the feats of strength and everything, I think this late game is still pretty scary for them if they let it go down that route. And I think MKM is going to want to draw as much as possible. They are going to start up this Voracious Otacon, though. I don't think they have vision on it, actually.
I don't believe so. They have a sneaking suspicion of it. They are walking down. Efron was trying to hold the line. They now have vision, seeing that it has been hit, and it will have to reset, and they're hovering in position, looking to contest it. TPO rightfully backed off and is waiting to further assess what the scenario is. Pink Penguin and Batman are trying to contest vision, show out the pit, the dragon pit, and look for an opportunity to make a play. They crashed the mid lane and may be going for the tower. Katori's trying to keep pressure in the top lane and denying resources when available. He doesn't have TP, so his best bet is to show presence and show dominance to stop Cho'Gath from TPing in.
Yeah, we see Ziggy is trying to start up the Otacon again, but maybe just trying to aggro a bit to push off the enemy team. Speaking of objectives, though, this is going to be even more important. We got Ocean Soul here on the line. No Drakes to the name of TPO yet. But MKM is looking for this final one here. We see the flank from Ephron. Oh, but the flash forward with the Glacial Fissure is going to catch Ephron in a tough position. Not enough damage to follow through, though. Meanwhile, Lightly Moist Sock somehow finds himself completely caught in the enemy jungle and does get taken out right away from Nightmare. So Nightmare adding another kill yet to his name. They are ripping down this Drake incredibly fast, and that is going to be Ocean Soul going over to MKM. The score is 9-6. They are down behind on gold, but this game is not over yet. Don't count them out, because the longer this game goes on, it's not going to be a good time for TPO. And with Ocean Soul on top of it too, these fights are going to be pretty scary.
Ocean Soul is a disgusting buff to have when you have such a tanky team. Ocean Soul, as you damage your opponents, you're going to be able to heal and restore mana over 5 seconds. This gives a benefit to teams that have a lot of uptime in the team fight. The longer the team fight goes on, the more healing and mana you're going to recover from this buff. And so if you have a tanky team that takes a long time to kill, you're going to be guaranteed at least a certain amount of uptime.
Yeah, you know that Cho'Gath and Maokai is going to really love that Ocean Soul as well in a lot of these drawn out fights. I'm surprised they actually didn't go for the Otacon right after too, because they had all members up, but maybe wanted to just play a little bit safe, play a little bit slower there too, because if you get too greedy with it, the respawn timers for TPO could potentially match that and make it kind of an issue here too. MKM, I believe, took every Voracious Otacon in the first 2 games too, so definitely wants to try to make a repeat of that. As the gold differential is closing a bit here too. That Veigar is really fed though. 3-0-5, 200 CS, getting stacked up as well. 251 stacks here too. I mean, the damage, I think Nightmare just ripped down the Nautilus in like a few seconds. Obviously, Nautilus was kind of getting 1v4 there, but just getting instantly bursted in even those situations is not a good sign for a TPO.
Was an unfortunate spot to be, but I wouldn't count out TPO right now. Their Anivia has yet to fully come online. They still don't have their Leandries, but they do have a lot of defensive items that are going to help keep them alive. So once they get that Leandries, we're going to see a significant increase in damage from Anivia, perhaps enough to help turn some of these fights. And Darius is not to be counted out either. He's a very strong early game bully, but he has a decently strong late game as well, as he has a bulkier composition. They're pretty burst heavy as far as Darius and Caitlyn, and do have some sustained damage in the favor of Anivia. They may be able to contend with Monkey Master's Chief. They have some tools to deal with the conflicts in front of them. We do see TPO initiating on the Baron. Red side seems to be aware.
Yeah,
and are trying to collapse.
They're going to back off here a bit too. I mean, you have to be pretty careful, right? Because MKM has been winning a lot of these team fights, and they essentially have 2 smites with the Cho'Gath Feast option, as well as Batman's actual smite. So we're going to see how that goes. I feel like Ephron in a lot of these fights, unfortunately, just positioned by himself, so not able to get as much value with this Nivea. Kind of wants to play more front to back, I think. But, oh, here comes the aggressive cage here too. Doesn't actually catch anyone, but the side of MKM is pretty bulky. However, Batman goes almost instantly down here. He's going to re-engage. Nature Scrap is going to go through, but does go down to Reckoning. This is the fight that TPO needs here. There goes another tank as well. Veigar, or Vars, I should say, goes down. Veigar's about to go down as well. A big shutdown going over to the side of Ephron, and now you just have Feathers left here too. I know Cho'Gath has Feast, but I don't think he wants any business in trying to secure this either. And that is exactly the team fight that TPO needed there. Maybe a little overzealous and confident from the side of MKM, just blind walking into bushes after the cage not landing, just saying, you know what? We got Ocean Soul, we're tanky, we should be fine. But no, that damage came through really quick. I mean, Reckoning, I think, dished out a ton of that damage too, almost on 3 items now.
The gold differential is now nearly 9,000 gold in favor of TPO. The score is 10-9. TPO may just be able to stack check their way out of this. That Ocean Drake is still very strong, and so how they pick these fights, how they initiate, what targets they're able to knock out first, how many people they get with their AoE or multiple targeted abilities is really going to be the determining factor here. They do have the damage, they do have the tools, they just need to be able to execute.
Yeah, it looks like Feathers has already eaten all 6 of the small minions he can to grow, so now it just has to go for some of these jungle, large minions or opposing champions to Yeah, a little bit bigger, but again, interesting Hollow Radiance builds. It does complete a Thorn Mail as a second item here too. Might be looking to build a Randuin's, I guess, to really survive that Caitlyn damage next, which definitely would be a good option. But I have to say, the Hollow Radiance does still baffle me a bit.
I'm a bit confused about the Thorn Mail as well. There's not a bunch of heavily attack damage heavy champions on the favor of TPO. I mean, Darius has to auto attack you, but you know he's not spamming those auto attacks. He just needs to get 4 or 5 of them off. He doesn't have a lot of healing, and neither does Caitlyn have a whole bunch of healing either. And so she just goes for other targets. The downside about Thorn Mail and why it's not such a great item, first of all, 40% heal cut is not a significant amount, and it only really matters if you have a lot of healing, such as like Ocean Drake or on Mundo.
But yeah,
You
we
know,
have a fight
and-
breakout here real quick. Glacial Fisher is going to connect, and Nature's Grasp does as well too. No one has gone down quite yet. Ziggy is very low though, but we got the Baron buffs and Ephron pushing with the Glacial Storm. Is going to make this pretty annoying for the side of MKM. As long as they keep some of these minions alive, that cannon minion is doing work in the back. Oh, let's not forget, you got 6 grubs on the side of TPO, so they are shredding through this tower. Reckoning's still pretty healthy, but I think they're going to be content with that and just back off as Katori is split pushing in this middle side.
And we see another push with Katori in the mid lane, and they're backing off. It looks like they're collapsing on the Elder Drake. That's about to spawn right now. They wanted to take their Baron advantage, and oh, they do pick off Pink Penguin Pong one. Pong one. I can't.
Yeah. Pink
Penguin. Penguin.
Caught here. Ziggy is caught in the cage as well. I believe Ziggy's Crescent Guard is not up, so it does go down straight away to Chef J. You do not want to lose your jungler this early on, but I think TPO is going to go for the full team fight at this point too. If they go wipe him, they could get the Elder easily. Cho'Gath goes down as well. Batman and Feathers goes down, which means that securing this objective is not impossible, but they do have vision of it. Let's see if they're going to go for it or not. You have to be careful if you're Reckoning, but they have vision of this Veigar as well too. Lightly Moist Sock is going to try to provide some type of spacing here to actually, funny enough, Otacon's still actually up as well. If they aggro this Otacon, it actually could be pretty annoying for the backside. But Chef J does take down Lightly Moist Sock. I don't think they can go for this Elder. Oh, but they technically did leash it over for MKM. Does MKM go for this or not? I have no idea at this point too. Both mid lane ADCs are duking out. Oh my gosh, and then Veigar just one-shots Caitlyn at this point too. That's the damage we're looking for. Now they are actually going desperately for this Elder. Meanwhile, you have Katori pushing in this mid side here, getting a lot of value. The cage does catch Ephron. Ephron in trouble. Crystallize doing come through. The flash forward from the Nightmare, but gets stunned up in the last second, and Elder is still up. Now we see the rest of the team finally respawning, going for this objective. I think Ziggy has to back off at this point because Caitlyn is not here, and that's yet another objective, a dragon objective going over to the side of MKM. This is a scary one to have to deal with. They do have a lot of waves pushing in, though. They have their Nexus turret actually being hit by minions now, and you see Katori actually still pushing in this top side here. They're trying to slow it on the backs here. This is actually huge. Nightmare does go back to contest the Darius, but the rest of the team is stuck here fighting. Nature's Grass is going to connect onto Ziggy. Ziggy, I think, is trying to buy as much time as possible for Katori. Katori is now unfortunately out though, and Ziggy is going to pay for his life, but they get a decent amount of value here in this mid area, and I think the fight is going to stop at this point in time. Katori trying to do what he can to alleviate some of the pressure. Unfortunately, I don't think really got too much value after Nightmare TP'd up to that top lane.
You know, on the favor of TPO in their defense, by keeping the pressure on their top side and mid side, they did force MKM to have to reset. Now they have to correct the waves. This is an opportunity for TPO to go ahead and take the Atacon. They know where MKM is, and they are waiting out the Elder buff. They have enough towers out that they can absolutely wait this out and take this again at another opportunity. It's 33 minutes into the game. The score is 13-13, but there's still about an 8,000 gold advantage in the favor of TPO, and they do successfully take the Atacon.
That Otacon buff is actually really helpful for TPO, right? I mean, they got 6 scrubs. They already have the mid inhibitor and tower down. And if they just keep diving for these, objectives and these turrets and inhibitors, they might be able to kind of put a lot of pressure on the side of MKM. MKM doesn't want this too. They still have the Elder buff, so they want to push advantage as much as possible. If they could fight outside of their base, that's even better for them, right? I don't think they're even worried too much about Voracious Otacon in the sense that if they're not getting their base pushed in because they have the Elder to kind of negate it in some way, right? They're looking to fight here, even with the Voracious Otacon on the side of TPO, because they feel strong right now. And as long as they can keep the minions away from their base, I think they're pretty content on that. But they're actually looking over to maybe rip this Baron right off spawn. This is going to be super interesting because we have Voracious Otacon buff on the side of TPO, but we have Elder on the side of MKM. And do they spot this in time is a real question. The Baron is going down so quick here too. Only 400 gold left, and it is going to be eaten up from Feathers. And now the fight is going to break out. Nature Scrap is going to catch two members, Efron and I believe the Nautilus here, but they're going to go for the re-engaged. Reckoning is just free hitting from the back, doing as much damage as possible, but is it enough damage is the real question. I don't think it is. Two members are going to be reset. It's going to be Ziggy and Efron going back to their base, and meanwhile, Katori is still doing what he can to split push, but not making as much there. Elder is gone, but Baron buff is up. And here, they're trying to get Reckoning. Reckoning still has a Voracious Otacon, so is going to respawn here lightly. Moisak is going to be going down, respawning as well. Again, maybe trying to delay some of their backs, but Katori is already out of there too. And the question is, if you're TPO, how do you close out this game? Because I feel like MKM now is just way too strong at this point. Even with Voracious Otacon buff, you just can't do anything.
Well, they were not able to do anything because of the Elder Drake, and that was a big problem for them. They took too much damage. They didn't have Darius there with them. It wasn't a fight that they necessarily wanted to take. They tested their limits, but you know, it was unfavorable at that time. And we saw the carryover for MKM. They had the tempo from the first initial fight, ended up taking Elder off of that, then leveraged the Elder to go get the Baron to try to extend their playmaking abilities. Eventually, it's going to run out if you just don't give them an opportunity or contest them when they're strong. We're now at 36 minutes into the game, and the score is still 13-13 with now a 5,000 gold advantage in favor of TPO. Their lead has been mitigated to some degree, but they still have it. They just need to look for a favorable team fight, not play when the opponents have a buff, and perhaps leverage that split pushing Darius in the top lane to mitigate the pressure that they have, or separate the pressure coming from Monkey Master Chief. If they split up the team, they might have a better opportunity for a fight.
Definitely, and we see the top laner skirmishing here a bit. Feathers is not scared of Katori at this point in time. The mid tier 2 tower does go down though on the side of TPO, as you can see they are trying to recall to stop Katori. Katori does get this top inhibitor turret though, which is pretty big. Oh, and looks like trying to stop their recalls as well too. Nature Scraps is going to connect through. Lightly Moisak probably going to go down for his troubles, but trying to buy some space for his ADC, as Caitlyn is full health, so is Efron, doing as much damage as possible. Crescent Guard is also going to be able to negate some of this damage, but look at Feathers go. Feathers is absolutely massive, just giant dino just coming down, and you got all 5 members still up for MKM with Baron buff. Only 20 seconds left here too. Doesn't connect the Q stun to get the Anivia caught out here, but with Anivia you can actually clear this wave quite quickly here too, with the Crystallize as well. Really great position. Glacial Storm is going to catch Feathers. Feathers does get shut down from Reckoning. Batman also goes down to Katori, and this fight is starting to turn around a bit for TPO. They have to slow down the minions, and they do thin out the wave, and this game looks like it's going to be another 40+ minute banger.
Absolutely is. It's 37, almost 38 minutes right now. Score is 15-15. Just like game one, it is neck and neck with the leading team going back and forth. And this game, we do see that TPO has had a significant gold advantage for the majority of the game, but in terms of objectives, Monkey Master Chief is being an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, it really
Shout out to
is.
Vagar.
Shout out to Vagar as well. I mean, yeah, it's again, the goal differential's been on the positive side for TPO this entire time, but it's just MKM just responding with these team fights really well. To be fair too, Katori's doing a really great job of splitting, so a lot of these fights are kind of 4v5 in nature, but we got another Elder Dragon spawning up again too. I mean, the real question is how many more of these will we really have. I think if the right team gets it in this situation, they stay alive, this could be spell disaster here. Speaking of disaster, Pink Penguin is going to be caught in a tough position here. It's going to be chunked down to half health as well. I mean, look at that Caitlyn damage, is kind of nutty. All right, and then the fight is going to continue. Oh, the Chains of Corruption is going to land, but it was cleansed out by Reckoning, I believe, who was initially landed on it. And you can see teams are starting to, MKM is starting to chunk down this Elder Dragon a bit, but it's going to get Leashin pushed back. Oh, we get the cage on top of the Efron. Flashes out here too, but the follow-up engaged from Batman. Oh, a huge Nature's Grabs as well, catching multiple members here. Katori is trying to stay alive as much as possible, but might be getting feasted on quite soon. Goes down actually to the Varus, and now oh my gosh, just look at the team from MKM. The health bars are completely full at this point. Batman does go down, but the rest of the team is looking so strong and healthy here too. Efron trying to do what he can to delay this, but I feel like the inevitable is coming here as the rest of MKM is just going to continue taking these objectives as fast as possible. They don't have a wave though, so they might just go for the Elder instead.
Looks like Ephraim is successful in delaying it by killing the wave out from under them, but they will not be able to stop Monkey Master Key from taking that Elder Drake, which, like before, can be used to extend their playmaking abilities. If they're able to get this Elder Drake, they can take that over to the Baron and then use that for a successful closeout. That's in the case that the Baron or the Elder Dragon itself is not sufficient for closeout, which it should be, because they're winning these team fights without it, and it's only going to make it easier.
It should be, but it just hasn't been for some reason. I mean, I gotta say too, like the weight clip from Reckoning and Efron makes it really tough, right? You need to. I don't know how much bigger MKM needs to be for them to just take this turret aggro and just like try to shove down their advantage as much as possible. But I mean, look at the build so far too. Deadman's play on the Cho'Gath, very interesting too, and actually ran the Frozen Heart instead of the Randuin's.
Big chunk.
A ton of attack speed from the side of TPO, but definitely interesting choice too. Maybe going for I don't even know what going for at this point too. Maybe yeah, I'll let Feathers decide what to build on the next one. But this Veigar looking really strong as well. 5-1 at this point too, looking unstoppable. And you see Reckoning just running for his life because he knows if he's caught by the Veigar, he is instantly blown up. But so far has been doing a pretty good job of positioning. They're going to take advantage of this Elder buff as much as possible here, and the Demolish is going to completely take down this turret. What can TPO do at this point too? Katori trying to split push as fast as possible. It does have 6 scrubs, but they have 5 members of MKM here, and Katori's still going to continue on shoving as much as possible. Might be the win condition they need. Meanwhile, the wave clears enough for them to delay this as much as possible here. Caitlyn takes down the Varus and does the Braum goes down as well. They are actually winning this team fight somehow, and they don't even have Elder on their side, and they're the ones to try to close it out. Meanwhile, Katori is doing everything he can to win this fight end the base on his own. Nightmare trying to match, but this might be hard for Nightmare to match as well, as Darius does not care about this damage. He is going to take down another Nexus turret. Efron going to succeed in helping with this as well too. This game looks sure to be over. It's been going back and forth 42 minutes.
Elderbuff gets Katori!
Just take him out.
And they're able to take it!
The game. TPO coming in clutch in the final minutes here too. I don't know how, but MKM with Elder buff couldn't close it out. They won a 4v5 fight.
Well, I can explain exactly how that would happen. Replay would be phenomenal there, but from my perspective, they killed the wave out. There was only 2 minions left that was in TPO's base. The fight was initiated under the towers. They were able to separate it. Looked like Veigar started to panic when they saw the backdooring Darius leaves their team, leaving it into a 3v4 in the base, giving the number advantage to the team with the most gold. And so they then continue to push that 4v3 advantage, securing more kills and delaying the recalls, letting Darius be in a favorable position for the closeout. It was just, a great example of ZOI and team fight positioning and leveraging your abilities. And it was just, wow, what a turnaround. That game was absolutely stolen. I started to believe that Monkey's Master Chief were going to win it. They should have won it, but TPO, once again, as the underdog, just steals the game.
Yeah, our first game 3 on broadcast for Divinity League this season has not disappointed too. I mean, 3 games two of them over 40 minutes, the other one over 37 minutes. I mean, two elders going over to the side of MKM, but they just could not close it out there too. Incredible 4v5 fight for the side of TPO. They definitely deserve to celebrate tonight, as they are going to even up their overall score in the Divinity League to 2-2, and Monkey's Master Chef actually is going to drop down to 2-2. So a slight mini upset here. But yeah, I mean, this is it's been a fun league to watch so far, and a big congrats to TPO. Great plays from Monkey's Master Chef as well, but just unfortunately not enough to close it out in the final minutes. But yeah, wow, what a game. Any final thoughts from you, Professor Malice?
You know, any final thoughts that I have would be that this has probably been the closest series that we have, and maybe the closest series that we ever have. All three games are pretty neck and neck for the majority of them. You can tell that the players were thinking carefully. And you know what? If you don't win today, that's okay, because there's going to be another opportunity. I'm sure these two teams will have a chance to settle the score later on this season in the playoffs.
That's right. That's right. Well, big shout out to both teams for playing an incredible series. And for those that love Titan Esports and want to support Titan Esports, we have some merch this season. So definitely take a look at it too. I'm not sure if we have a graphic to show that off or not, but either way, check out the website for the merchandise. I believe it's on Titan Esports, should have a link for it on their website here to actually what do you call it? FOFesports.com/Titan is going to be the best way to access that merchandise for Titan Esports. So get your own winter merchandise as soon as you can, because I know in some parts of the United States and North America, it's a little bit chilly, I gotta say.
I know here in Iowa, I'm having quite the cold storm right now, and so I might caught myself a Titan hoodie to keep me nice and warm in these winter nights. If you're in a similar situation at home, I recommend doing the same, showing your support for the community that you know and love.
All right. Well, that does it for us here too. A pleasure commentating with you as always, Professor Malice, and shout out to our broadcast team, Sherigan, for running the broadcast, doing the observing, doing it all behind the scenes here. And until next week, we will catch you all for week number 5 of Divinity League. But until then, stay tuned, take care, and have a good one.